Welcome back, everybody. Gonna talk NFL Week 5. What's up, chat? I see some comments. Hello, Devon. Somebody said to check Blake Snell's age. I always prefer comments where somebody just points it out instead of send somebody on a wild goose chase. Why not write, Blake Snell's age is this, and this is what I'm thinking? That would be a helpful comment. Cincy UCF was a big surprise to me. We just saw the one thing that I noticed that could go in Cincy's favor was the fact that the last time the winning score was 38 points for UCF. Of course, Florida's 38. And if the UCF coach lost, he would fall to 16-3, like 163, the 38th prime. That is what happened. So I suppose it's a somewhat fitting record for the Florida coach, but usually the overlap numbers are good news. UCF 51, Cincinnati 51, plus just the way their upcoming schedule looked. I really did like UCF a lot. That game was a surprise to me last night. They made a big deal about the coach winning for Cincinnati after. It was 54 days. I think maybe it was 53 days after his birthday or his 54th day of his age. I think ranked equals 53. Upset equals 54. So, but still, I mean, I would have took UCF even knowing that or thinking about that. Again, overlap numbers are usually a good sign, so that game was disappointing. Anyhow. Can we talk fantasy football? Sure. And if you guys want to call in about specific fantasy players, don't do it randomly. Like if I'm on the game that you're thinking about, call in during the game and say, hey, Zach, can you look at this player for my fantasy team? Because it doesn't take that long to run the birthday and look at the stats and just see what jives. Again, and this is easy for you guys to do too. I encourage you, if you have fantasy teams, just, if you're trying to decide, should I plug in this receiver or this running back or this running back, just do the birthday date duration real quick. I mean, it just takes a moment to do that. Date duration calculator, or even on Gematrinator.com, you can do the same thing. Gematrinator's had the date calculator too. And if you see that it's X amount of days after the birthday, and remember to check X amount of days as well as the span of days. The span of days is checking the box. But so often when the player's on their jersey number, really great sign. So, and just do things like we do each Thursday night. I've been doing it Thursday night just to show you guys how to do it. Things like, who scored the first points of the game for Seattle? Tyler Lockett. It was his 6th day of his age. We thought he might score 6 points. He made the score 6-6 on his 6th day of his age. So, but yeah, I can do that. Just call in as we go through the games. So again, Rams Seahawks already passed Thursday Night Football. It was a close game. We favored the Seahawks because Russell Wilson was going for his 8th straight win on Thursday Night Football, and we've seen a lot of streaks of 8 in 2019, 19 the 8th prime. Also, the Seahawks became 9-1 on Thursday Night Football in the Pete Carroll era, and that connected to Paul Allen's name, who was honored before the game. Not a typical ceremony, right? They're not inducting somebody. They're honoring the former owner who died. So, a little bit different type of ritual. Thought that might factor into the Seahawks becoming 9-1 at home, and they did. But again, for people interested in Thursday Night Football, like we looked at DK Metcalf, number 14, big number on TNF. He had a 40-yard touchdown, right? TNF's 40-14. Will Dissly, it was his 88th day of his age. He was the leading receiver for the Seahawks in this game. Number 88, 88th day of age. Dissly equals 88. It was also 87 days after his birthday. Seahawks, 87. Tyler Lockett scored the first points of the game to give the Seahawks 6 on his 6th day of his age. Got to admit, it was a pretty nice play. Russell Wilson, as much as I hate him, he does have skills. I mean, he's a talented player, no doubt about it. He can drop the ball in a bucket. Every NFL QB should be able to. Chris Carson had a nice game. He had the Thursday Night Football numbers. 2 weeks in a row, the running backs that dominated had the Thursday Night Football numbers. He also had the numbers connecting to Paul Allen. Paul Allen had the 71 connection as well. I thought Russell Wilson might go for 3 touchdowns. He went for 4. 12 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing on the season, 1-2-2, 12th man equals 122, Seattle on the 122nd meridian. Cooper Kupp had a nice game. He had the Thursday Night Football numbers. This Tyler Higbee had some big gains there in the second half. He wore the number 89. The game was on the day, leaving 89 days left in the year. So we talked about how Moore lined up for the Seattle position players than the Rams position players. Gurley had the Thursday connection. He had a nice game. Gurley, I mean, though, he's a superstar, so he usually has nice games. All right, so I will go through the games. If you want me to look at your fantasy player, I will do that. Just give me a call, 509-731-0567. But call when I'm on the game where that player plays for the team. So, Cardinals-Bengals. First game up. So there's a tricky thing here. We know 66 plays big in Cincinnati. Cincinnati equals 66. If the Cardinals won this game, they'd be 6-6 versus the Bengals, which isn't out of the question. That's the possible upset narrative. The thing is, the Moore Pierce cipher is the alphabetic order with the rules numerology, and in that cipher, Arizona Cardinals equals 75. If the Bengals win, they'll be 7-5 versus the Cardinals. In light of that being the Moore Pierce cipher, the full team name, I'm leaning more towards that 7-5 than the 6-6. If the Cardinals lose, they'll be 1-7 at the Bengals. Ohio's the 17th state, big number there. Kingsbury, the coach of the Cardinals, it's his 59th day of his age, the 17th prime, playing in Ohio. We got a call here. Caller?
Yeah, hey, Zach. So, I like to get the Bengals in that game because if you type in Cincinnati Bengals in the most pure cipher, it comes to 75, and if you type in the word Arizona Cardinals,
you're right. I know you're right that Cincinnati Bengals is 75 too. I was sleeping on that. So yeah, I think that 75 riddle's the stronger one. Yeah, great point.
Yeah, and also Arizona Cardinals comes to 75 too.
Yeah, right, which is what I was just saying. So yeah, I think the 7-5 will take the cake.
Yeah, for that. So that's what I've seen in that. That one really stood out to me in that. And there was one more thing that I seen. So Eddie Dalton, for his career all-time regular season home loss, if he could pick up his 24th all-time regular season home loss, and I think Bengals and full reduction comes to 24.
Right, but he could pick that up at another time too, right?
Right. So, but that 75, I liked it the most, with the Cardinals equal 75, or Arizona Cardinals equal 75, and Cincinnati Bengals 75. So I liked it that, and yeah, I liked it that. Oh, I wanted to mention something too. Did you see this on Thursday, the Thursday game? Right before halftime when the Rams scored. Did you see the ritual there? So the score was 14-6, and the Rams had the ball, and it was 13 seconds before halftime. 13 seconds before halftime. And I looked at it, I said 13. Wow. Okay, we already know LA equals 13, and of course I said. And before the play even began, I said, watch, they're going to score a touchdown. And sure enough, they did, with 13 seconds left on the clock.
And it made the score 14-13. TNF is 14-13. 27 combined points. The date was October 3rd, right? 103, the 27th prime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, certain ritual.
Yeah, so, and you know what? And I just wanted to say that because that's the beauty of this. Like, when you actually watch these games, you see the rituals live play. And it's just amazing when you watch it, you know. It's like you can call things out. You could just call it right when you see it. You know?
Well, and the other thing is, besides just calling it, now with all these betting situations, there's all these real-time betting situations, and they pay pretty good odds. So that's what a lot of people are doing with this knowledge is they're sitting and waiting for those scenarios, and then they're capitalizing.
Yeah, you know, and it's just absolutely hilarious. But yeah, that's what I liked it for that Cincinnati game. And then I had some stuff for the Panthers game, but I'll just call back when looking at that game.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's the way I want to do it. All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right.
See you. Caller?
Hey, Zach. How you doing, man?
Doing well.
Awesome. So, are you still talking about the Bengals-Cardinals game?
Yes.
So really quick, I noticed that a lot of numbers are pointing towards the Bengals. However, I did find one thing. Dalton has lost his last 7 starts.
Is that? Oh, so he could lose 8 in a row, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we've seen that all season long so far. I mean, remember, Cam Newton, he lost 7 straight starts, and he had all those numbers pointing towards him winning, and he ended up getting that loss on Thursday Night Football. And I've seen streaks go on to 8.
Well, and also this game's
so.
on a date with 19 numerology, which is the 8th prime. Let me check that out real quick here.
All right, for sure, man. I'm getting ready to walk into work, but I did want to make sure that you got that little piece of information. If you want to double check it, of course. But I'm pretty sure he's lost 7 straight starts.
No, he's lost 6 straight.
Oh, 6 straight.
I just checked it because he lost his last 2 games at the end of last year. Unless he didn't play in this Raiders game. Let me see if he played in this Raiders game. Oh, wait a minute. He didn't play in that game, so maybe he has lost 7 straight. Hold on.
Yeah, and it starts. Like, it's games that he actually started, not necessarily played, but like I'm pretty sure it's 7 straight starts.
Okay, I'm going to do some research. I see that he didn't play at the end of last year, so I have to see when he last played. All right, I appreciate that. I'll verify it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for the good work, man.
All right, welcome. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
The other thing is, the Cardinals just lost their owner by the numbers, Bill Bidwell, and I just wonder about that. Okay, when did Dalton last play? All right, so this is where Dalton last played. So they lost there to the Browns. That was 1 consecutive loss. They lost to the Bengals. That's 2 consecutive losses. They lost to the Saints. So he could lose 8 straight. Woo! That makes things hairy. All right, so yeah, he lost 1. He got hurt in this game apparently. 1, 2, 3. So he lost his last 3 starts last year, and he's 0-4 this year. So that is 7 straight losses in starts. Okay, I got to make a note about that. By the way, you know how in the last game on Monday Night Football, how it was Dalton's 337th day of his age? The 68th prime number. That was one of the things that could have gone in the Bengals' favor. Dalton getting his 68th win. Pro Football Reference has Dalton on 68 wins. And the difference between Pro Football Reference and the QB win-loss database that we use is the Pro Football Reference, what the difference between those two is it includes games where the quarterback came in and didn't start the game. So Dalton, he got a credit on the Pro Football Reference for that extra win, even though he didn't start that game. So it just makes me wonder, because in that case, it would make sense that he'd stay on 68 career wins on his 337th day of his age rather than picking up the 68. So that's something to consider. All right, Dalton has lost last 7 starts. He could lose his 8th in a row. Now, that's been a really good pattern for us. 19 date numerology, 8th prime. So that makes that hairy. There's a lot of hairy games this weekend. I can already tell you this isn't the game to go with the big bucks this weekend in the NFL. There's a lot of very close riddles. That 7-5 is still nice on both sides. But the 66 is there. 66 was great for us with Cincinnati in baseball this year. But yeah, now seeing that Dalton could lose his 8th in a row. Yeah, shoot. I'm glad he called in and gave us that. That was a great catch. Yeah, I've been preaching 8 straight, so I'm going to leave this game alone. Remember on Monday Night Football, they kept bringing up the 92 Chargers, the 1992 Chargers. They brought them up several times. The game was played Bengals and Steelers on the day, leaving 92 days left in the year. And the 92 Chargers were the last team to start 0-4 and go to the playoffs. And there's two thoughts about that. One is, could the Bengals end up making it to the playoffs this year? If the Browns lost this weekend and the Ravens lost, the Bengals would only be 2 games back in the division. So it's possible. Or is it another drop in the Chargers bucket for their narrative for a Super Bowl? So just remember that was a big talking point on Monday Night Football. The 92 Chargers on the day leaving 92 days left in the year. But yeah, I wouldn't mess with this game, honestly. Bill Bidwell just died, so you don't know. Maybe the Cardinals get a ritualistic win after the death of the owner. But it's really hard to go against the 75, especially since it stacks with both teams. But yeah, the Dalton 8 straight, I'd shy away. In the Bills and Titans game, I still haven't heard if they're saying if Barkley's playing or Allen. If Barkley's in there, I think it makes it even better for the Titans. But I'm favoring the Titans in this game, and here's why. This is, the date numerology and the win-loss records is hit and miss, so I'm not crazy about it. But if the Titans did win, they would get their 28th win in the regular season over the Bills on the 28 date numerology, so that's there. They could also get the 19th all-time loss versus the Bills on the 19 date, but again, I'd take the regular season stat over the all-time stat. Again, the only time I really go with the all-time stat is if there's nothing for the regular season, or if the regular season and the all-time are in agreement with each other. I like that. This game's 52 weeks after the last meeting. The Titans lost that one in a close game, 12-13 at Buffalo, 25 points scored. 52 weeks later is interesting because Tennessee equals 52. I'm not sure if Allen's playing. I think he's a game-time decision. If Barkley plays, it's 28 days after his birthday or his 29th day of his age. Again, you have the 28 date numerology. The Titans going for that 28th win against the Bills. Remember, these are the Music City Miracle teams, too. So I was just trying to think if there was any riddle with that Music City Miracle. They had both these teams in the playoffs for the first time the other year in forever. But I will note that Titans equals 29 in light of it being Barkley's 29th day of his age. Hold on, we got a call here, and I'll get to the rest of my thoughts. Caller?
Hey Zach, can you hear me?
Yep.
There's something that I just noticed in your notes that I think it was on the game before. It was with Bidwell. His name's not 102. You spelled it wrong. Ian, his last name is an I. It's Bidwill.
Oh, okay. So, hold on. Let me see.
That's what it says on Google. So.
Well, I'm sure you're right. Here, let me just double check it. Bill Bidwell. What did I do?
It looked like it said E and then 102.
Yeah. You're right. I screwed it up. Okay.
All
right. Thanks, man.
All right. See ya.
All right. See ya. Hold on. Let me fix that. I don't want to put incorrect information up here. All right. He did just die on October 2nd. I know Coyotes is 102. He died on the first day of the National Hockey League season, and National Hockey League's 102 as well. Where did I put that? Where did I put the note at? How come I don't see what I... All right, hold on. I don't see where I wrote that. Caller?
Hey, Zach, how you doing today?
Doing well.
All right, great. Just calling to give you 2 notes. Barkley is out.
You mean Allen's out?
And... no, I said Barkley.
So,
Saquon Barkley.
I thought Allen was the one who was questionable. You're talking about Saquon Barkley. I'm talking about Matt Barkley for the Bills.
Matt Barkley. Oh, okay. All right. Well, even when you get to the Giants game, I'm just saying he's out. I think Josh Allen. I think he's still questionable, but I'm not sure. But I can find out if he's out.
Well, he is. He's a game time decision. That's what I'm talking about. Matt Barkley's his backup.
Oh, okay. That's what you're talking about. Okay. All right. I would just give you the notes for the certain players that were out. That's all.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. And Sam Donald was out too.
Say that one more time.
Sam Darnold, for the Jets, he's going to be out too. So
Oh, yeah.
his fault that's going to be
I saw that. Yeah, he's out again. Yep.
Okay.
All right, appreciate
All right.
that. All right, thanks, man. Okay, so this game's on 106, by the way. Tennessee equals 106, October 6th game. But here's the reason I like the Titans in this game. If the Bills won, they would improve to 4-1. I'll say that week 5 equals 41. If they lose, they'll be 3-2. Big number in the NFL. NFL's 32 teams. But bye week equals 32 and bye equals 32. So going into the bye 3-2, I see a little riddle there with that. I like the alignment with the coach for Vrabel, just the way his birthday is. It's 53 days after his birthday, or his 54th day of his age. Marcus Mariota's 53. Tennessee Titans is 54. And if the Titans win, they'll go into Denver 3-2. Denver's 32. Broncos is 32. So there's not a lot there, but I'm just kind of, I like them leading into the Denver game because that number shows up with Denver a lot. I should have also mentioned that if Allen does play, it's 138 days after his birthday. And if the Titans lose, they'd be 13-8 at the Bills. So I just don't see much going in the Bills' favor. The only thing I really see there is the Week 5 thing. So take the Titans in this one at home. The Bears and Raiders. The Bears' narrative to win is to become 4-1 versus Oakland, because of course Oakland's 41. The over/under set at 41 as well. Week 5's 41. So that's the Bears' narrative. But if the Bears lose, they'll be 3-5 at the Raiders. And really, this isn't at the Raiders, right? Because it's in London. Last year, the Raiders, when they played in London, it was a really clear ritual because it was 206 weeks after the last time they faced the Seahawks, and Seattle's the 206 area code. So anyway, they don't have anything going against them like that from last year. I looked at Khalil Mack, too, because, of course, he came over from the Raiders to the Bears last year. And you know what? Actually, what I should look at is I should look at how many days it was from the trade. I still remember that the trade was September 1st, 2018, because Chicago Bears is 91. Let me see real quick, though. How many? Caller?
Hey, Zach. I was wondering if you could do a fantasy outlook on the Raiders tight end, Darrell Waller.
Oh, yeah, number 83. He's a good player.
Yeah, I know. And I was also wondering if you could do one for Josh Jacobs, the Raiders running back.
Josh Jacobs, the Raiders running back?
Right, yes.
Okay, here, I'll look at both of them real quick.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, welcome. All right, so Waller, September 13th. So the game is going to be 23 days after his birthday or his 24th day of his age. And 83 is the 23rd prime. So 23 days after his birthday, he's number 83. Right. Darren Waller's 131, the 32nd prime. Both teams could get to 3-2. UK's 32, NFL 32. Let's see. Let's look at his stats. All right, so far this year he has... Wow, he hasn't gotten a touchdown yet? I know he's been putting up yards. 320 yards, but no touchdowns so far. Okay. Just goes in with 320 yards. So it is 23 days after his birthday. I'd rather it be 83 days, but 23 does go with his jersey number. 83 is the 23rd prime. I'll jot this down here in the notes. Game is 23 days after Waller's birthday. All right. Let me check Carr's gematria real quick. Just barely off. Derek Carr's 83, like his jersey number. All right, Josh Jacobs. All right, let's see. February 11th, 42nd day of the year. Oh, hold on. I wanted to finish writing this note down about Khalil Mack. Let me do this real quick. All right. So the game's a span of 401 days after the September 1st, 2018 trade of Mack from Raiders to Bears. 401 sort of like that 41. All right. Josh Jacobs, let's see. So Josh Jacobs to the game. 237 days, 33 weeks and 6 days, be a span of 34. What's his jersey number? He's number 28. You got 28 date numerology for Jacobs. And he's got 307 yards, 63rd prime. 2 touchdowns, and then receiving another 57 yards. 237. $34 weeks. It's interesting that it is 237 days after his birthday, because that's the prime factorization in 42, and he's born on the 42nd day of the year. The only thing that connects to is John Gruden. All right, I'll plug it in here, though, since we looked it up. Game is 237 days after Jacob's birthday. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really. I mean, it's interesting that he was born on the 42nd day, and it is that amount of days. Those numbers have a relationship. But I'd look at who your other running backs are and do the similar test and just see if there's anything more significant there. Because, I mean, the Bears do have a good defense. So ultimately, though, what jumps out about this game to me is the Bears are 3-4 at the Raiders, and it's not really at Oakland, but they still count as the home team, so it's going to go down in the scorebooks that way. Chicago does equal 35-44, but the 35 is definitely a lot more potent. And with regards to the 35 on the board, Derek Carr could get his 35th career win by beating Chicago. Chase Daniel's going to be the starting quarterback this week for the Raiders. Trubisky's out. If he lost, he would fall to 1-3 away. Oakland's 41-13 prime. The other thing that jumped out is Gruden has 95 regular season losses, and this game's in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which equals 95. He could also get his 45th win with the Raiders, and Bears equals 45. So week 5 is 41. He could get his 41 loss as well. But I like that, again, I've said it before, when things line up nice with the QB and the coach, things typically go that way. And I don't think there's been a game yet this year. Certainly it will happen at some point, but there has not been a game yet this year where it lined up nicely with the coach and the QB and the team lost. So riding the law of averages, and again, thinking that the Raiders are going to get some bones this year because they're moving and have a new stadium next year, I favor the Raiders, but definitely not a one-way street because the Bears do have a shot at becoming 4-1. Oakland's 41. Oakland has struggled in London. I wrote it down. Where did I write down the London series? I know I wrote down the information. Okay, the Bears are 1-0 in London, and the Raiders are 1-3 in London. So the Raiders improved to 2-3. I bet you Mr. 83 on their team, 23 days after his birthday, will be a big part of the equation. So he seems to be the Raiders' offensive star right now, their tight end. But ultimately, I like that things line up for Carr and for Gruden in this game. So I'm leaning Raiders. All right, the Bucks and the Saints. And you know what? Before I move on from this game, if you've been keeping track each week, the Bears have been a team that I've done very poor with. The Bears have killed me this year, so do be mindful of that. But I still lean Raiders. Caller,
Hey Zach, how you doing?
doing well, man. Thanks.
All right. I just wanted to give you a thought on like your future decodes, whether it's this season or the upcoming one. So the team with like the most Super Bowls, right, is the Patriots and Steelers at 6. And then after that, it's the Cowboys and 49ers, right?
They both have 5, right?
So if one of them wins 1, they will both. There will be 3 at 6, and you know what that means, right?
Well, you
Six,
remember
six.
what? Do you remember what happens to the Cowboys if they made the Super Bowl and lost this year?
Oh, what would happen? I don't remember.
They'd be 5-4.
Like Super Bowl 54, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably not going to happen this year. That's why I said like future decodes, like maybe the Cowboys or 49er they win 1 Super Bowl. I don't know when, but I like your Saints pick this year. Or did you say Chargers? I don't know.
Okay, so just real quick, talking about futures. So we've seen a lot of 103 rituals this year, which has me thinking, you know, there's a reason they're doing all this 103. 103 is the 27th prime number. If the AFC were to win the Super Bowl this year, the AFC and NFC would be tied at 27 Super Bowls apiece. And so that's something to consider. The Saints are the team with the most 54 connections in the league. So there's that about the Saints, absolutely. The Chargers are an interesting team. If it was going to be all about Drew Brees this year, him facing his old team would be one of those in-your-face NFL rituals. So that's possible. The fact that ESPN called this the year of the black quarterback, and ESPN often gives out big clues at the beginning of the season, I've been debating on if it could be a year with 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. And if that were to happen, I think it would be Chiefs and Cowboys. Because in history, the Dallas Texans became the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, Chiefs equals 112 like Super Bowl. And this year, the Super Bowl is 112 days after Jerry Jones's birthday. So I'm still looking for the straightaway clue for our Super Bowl. But yeah, if you like the Saints, I mean, they're not a bad thought at all. Teddy Bridgewater's got nice numbers this year. I even wonder if the Saints could end up in the Super Bowl with Teddy Bridgewater if Drew Brees had trouble staying healthy.
Yeah, that would be interesting. The black quarterback riddle.
So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to give you a thought.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, again, the other piece about that Chiefs-Cowboys riddle, if that happened, is if the Chiefs won, you'd have the 27-27 thing, and the Cowboys would fall to 5-4. So, all right, the Bucks and Saints game. I think the Saints will improve to 4-1 here. Buccaneers equals 179, the 41st prime number. So, good team to become 4-1 against. And you have the 19-date numerology. Of course, Saints is 19. The Super Bowl will be on the 19th day of Drew Brees' age. And remember, Drew Brees will be 41 years old. Super Bowl 41, like how Brady was 41 years old last year when he won it. And if the Saints improve to 4-1, you know, they do it against Tampa Bay, who's in Florida, where the Super Bowl is. It's in Miami, but still. Hold on, we got another caller here. Caller?
Hey, Zach.
Hey.
Oh, so I like the Bears. I like the Raiders as well in that matchup. And I like Josh Jacobs actually to do well in that game as well, and probably Wall as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bears got a tough D though, but it could still happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they do, but it's like I feel like you can beat them in the air because you know, like they can stop the run well. So it's like like the running back can get some goal line carries or something. Like the tight end can probably just beat them in the air. And I like Terrell Williams too, because 16 a big number this week. So
yeah, that's a good point.
That's
a good point.
And just one more last point. the Super Bowl, I kind of like the Packers versus the Chiefs because that commercial gave it away, and then you see how they got the Packers defense, like they supposed to be like real great this year. They got 100 on them, I know that much, and like they can stop like the pass very well, but they can't stop the run. And it's like I feel like they want to match them up against like a team that got like a bunch of weapons. That's the Chiefs, and it's like the Packers could negate their weapons on the receivers. But if that makes sense.
Oh, it does make sense. It does make sense, and that's another very possible Super Bowl scenario for all the reasons we've tracked this year. Indeed. So yeah, great points.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep listening.
All right. Thanks, man. Mm-hmm. All right. Take care. Okay. All right, so this Bucs-Saints game, again, you got the 19-date numerology, and the 19 can hurt the Bucs in two ways. They can get their 19th loss at the Saints, and Winston can get his 19th away loss. So, I mean, that's really hard to ignore. The Bucs did shock the Saints last year. And you know what? Let's go back and just measure how many weeks it was from that game. I think it's going to end up being 57 weeks, but here, let's just check it real quick, because that was week 1 that happened. All right, the Saints versus Tampa Bay. Okay. So that was September 9th, 9-9. Remember, the Bucs were up big, but the Saints rallied and made the score closer. So September 9th, 2018 to October 6th. $56 weeks later. 56, not 57. Okay. Let me just double check. That doesn't connect to anything. All right, 56. All right, doesn't look like it. Caller?
Adam Lastman here, bro.
Hey.
I'm going to give you $50 this Monday around noontime for your hard work and dedication and everything else that goes with it.
Well, that's very generous of you. Only do that, though, if I help you win some money, so.
No. You deserve it, bro. It's going to be Monday by noon. I'll put it in your PayPal. I already got your thing lined up, so.
Well, thank you.
I was going to do it today, but I'll do it Monday.
Thank you very much.
More money Monday, so.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Adam. All right. Thanks for
welcome. Bye, bro.
All right. Take care, man. Hey, and you know what, you guys, real quick, for some reason, I wanted to do this at the beginning of the live stream. Let me just do it real quick. Interruption from football. Some of these hockey riddles, yesterday my thoughts on hockey were as off as they could be. But prior to that, the riddles like the ones I spotted today could be a good sign. So today leaves 87 days left in the year. National Hockey League equals 87. This is a significant number to the NHL. I should have put that in the notes. National Hockey League equals 87. Sidney Crosby, kind of one of the faces of the league. His birthday is August 7th. He wears the number 87. Make sure you run over these NHL notes. The games all start in about an hour. But there's some 87 riddles up on the board here today. The Hurricanes could pick up their 87th loss versus the Capitals in regulation today. So far this year, riddles like that have been good. So that stands out. Thinking the Capitals might be going places this year too. This one, I don't know. Coyotes does equal 87. Could they get their first win of the year? They're underdogs at home against Boston. If they did, they'd get their first 2 points of the year. Boston's 22. And then there's an upset on the board. If the Kings win, they'd be 87-87 in regulation against the Oilers. Caller?
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad you brought something up about hockey because I wanted to tell you something, but I didn't want to get too off topic.
Sure, go ahead.
But so I was messing around with NHL, and I found I actually found out that they directly provide you the head-to-head records, franchise records, and playoff records.
So what does that?
NHL. Records.nhl.com.
Records.nhl.com. And okay, this is this is different than the hockey reference?
Some of them might be. I'm not sure because I know there's like sometimes differences between like M cubed and hockey reference, and like I just use this because since it's directly provided by NHL, I find it more reliable.
Sure. The M cube mixes in the postseason is why it'll be different than hockey reference. Hockey reference separates the two. All right.
Yeah. So does this site, and it's records.nhl.com.
Okay, I got it. I just bookmarked it. I'll use it later. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right.
See ya.
Okay. Yeah, appreciate it. So anyway, I just plugged the NHL riddles. The NHL, if you guys don't gamble NHL, I think it's one of the better things to bet when you get nice riddles because there's not a lot of money on it, so I don't think like money swings things as much. And there's a gentleman out in New Jersey. He'd tell you that he loves hockey. He won $50,000 off hockey last year. So, don't sleep on the NHL. I know kind of the mind suck is to get everybody to gamble on football, but and NHL will get better as the season goes on because a lot of times, like say a team was playing Tampa Bay and they could pick up their 25th points. Tampa Bay's 25. Those point riddles really hit once the season builds up and you can see more of the team records. This early part of the year, you got to look for the things like teams getting their 87th points against the team on the day leaving 87 days left in the year. So I just want to throw that out there. Caller?
What's up, Zach? How's it going, man?
Hey, man.
Hey, so I don't know if you guys saw this. They just during the game, Twins in New York, the Yankees are up 1-0. So the Twins have out of 10 out of the last 11 games, they scored first, but their record was 0-11. They didn't score first today. So if they win, it would be 1-1-1, 1-11 from New York.
Oh, hold on, give it to. I got to think about it again. So say it one more time.
So in 10 of the last 11 games, the Twins versus the Yankees, the Twins have scored first, but their record is 0-11. Now today they didn't score first.
Got it.
So if they win, it's 1-11.
And that if the Twins did win today, it would end a 14-game losing streak in the postseason as well.
Ooh.
It's in the baseball notes if you check it out. Yeah, my baseball notes are up on the Patreon page.
Oh, sweet. Okay, got it. There are many streaks going today. The 14, there's another one. I don't know. Is it 11 or 12 that they won against New York, Minnesota in general?
I'd have to go pull back up the notes. But, yeah, it's all posted there. It's in the notes.
Sweet. Okay, well, anyone betting in-game, I wanna take that one. Might be worth a go.
Sure. Just the devil's advocate narrative would be Yankees is 37, the 12th prime if they went 0-12. But, yeah, I hear you. New York, 111, that's a big pattern, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a stab. I didn't see that one in the notes, but I saw your other notes, and it looked like it was pretty tight. Tanaka could get the loss, so worth a shot.
Tanaka had some strikes going against him. It could happen, so. What inning are we in that game?
Yeah. One more time?
What inning is it?
Right now, it is the bottom of the second, 1-0. No
very early. Okay, got it. All right.
Yep, very early.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. I think if the Yankees win today, though, the Twins will get swept. So we'll see. All right, but yeah, coming back to football, the Saints, 19, big number with them, 19-date numerology. Bucks can get the 19th loss at the Saints. Winston can get his 19th away loss. I mean, that just looks too good to be true. It's one of those games where if it went sideways this time, my teeth would fall out. But I noticed if the Saints actually won their next 3 games, they'd be 6-1 after the Bears as well. 61's the 18th prime, Bears 18. So that all jumps out. The Vikings and the Giants. This game's tricky. Hold on, we got a call here. Caller?
Hey, Zach, what's happening?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, not much, man. It's my birthday today, so...
Happy birthday.
Hey, thank you. I'm looking for a quick little tip from you for 2 or 3 games you really like that I got put together for a parlay.
Go look at my hockey notes, man. I listed which games I like there.
Yeah, I heard you talk about the Kings, right?
They'd be an upset, but go look through those hockey notes. There's some good picks today in hockey, I think.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there's parlay material there.
Okay, and then one other thing I wanted to say was the other night with that Thursday night game, you made a note about Russell Wilson. If he scored 4 touchdowns, he would get to 12, or something like that. Or
I said if he scored 3, he'd get to 11-2 for the season, like Thursday Night Football. But I should have thought about 4 because that's what he did. That made sense as well.
yeah, so he got to 12, and then I seen something with Carson Wentz. You know, he's playing the Jets, right? And New York Jets equals 132. If he throws 3 touchdowns, his ratio from touchdowns to interception would be 13-2. So I'm wondering. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm thinking maybe he might do that.
Huh. New York Jets equals 132?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Huh, that's interesting. That's
yeah,
interesting.
So I don't know if that's played in like all the other games, but since you made that point the other night, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So looking ahead at like what teams that they play and what their stats are and how they can get to that point, I mean that makes a lot of sense with that.
It could be that way. I haven't actually thought of it with the team name. I just noticed those Thursday Night Football numbers are pretty consistent. But yeah, it's a good thought. It could go down that way.
Yeah.
So I'll keep an eye on that. 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, happy birthday, man. Enjoy the day.
All right, thanks, bud.
All right, take care. See you. I hope some of you guys went on Michigan this morning. I know it was early. I think a lot of you hadn't woken up yet because it's Saturday, but I liked Michigan's riddle today. They became 2-1 in their division. Iowa's 21, and both teams became 4-1. Iowa Hawkeyes 179, the 41st prime, so that was looking pretty good. Caller?
Hi. Tate is coming back from suspension, so when you're talking about the Giants, can you just look into him today?
Who is?
Tate.
Golden Tate?
He was out suspended, and now he's coming back.
Okay, I didn't even know Golden Tate was on the Giants now. Guy's been all over the place. All right,
Yeah.
I will look. I'll look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, great tip. I'll look at it. Thank you. All right,
Okay,
bye.
Bye.
Caller? Hello?
Did you notice that the Giants are playing the Vikings the same weekend the Twins are playing the Yankees?
So that's something I wrote, that we need to keep an eye on what goes on in the baseball games. Exactly. There's something going on there with the Yankees and Twins series in this NFL game. Absolutely. So what happens in tonight's game could be a clue for tomorrow's outcome.
Another thing to keep in mind as well, remember I said a few times about that number 25 during the Bears and the Vikings game, how it just kept popping up? So another thing, last night, Torres, number 25, hit the game-winning 2-run, I think he had a double. Again, number 25 popping up against the Minnesota team.
Oh, because Minnesota's 52, the reflection?
I guess so. I don't know. That the 25 just keeps popping up. It happened a lot against the Bears with the Vikings. And yesterday, Torres, number 25, gets the game-winning RBIs.
It could be because it's the reflection. That might be what's going on with the 25.
Maybe. I don't know. Very interesting. But if Cousins loses, there's a 25 with the Giants.
Right.
I don't know.
The Vikings would have to win this game and become 9-7 to get the 25 tribute. 97 is the 25th prime.
Who's that?
Yeah, I think this game's dangerous, though. Here, I'm about to get to why. So.
Got it. Okay. And then one last thing. You know, those Nationals, man, they're looking pretty good. Scherzer might pull I forgot which guy was it. It might have been Evaldi. He started. He came in the lead. It seems like they're building around him.
Yeah, there's a reason they got that skull and bones ritual. So, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is, if you look at the odds online, that matchup between the Astros and the Nationals is third favorite. Go figure. They're ahead of the Braves and the Cardinals, even in the National League pennant to win it. They're ahead of both those teams, the wild card team.
Really?
They are.
Huh.
They're plus 475 online, and then they're the third favorite matchup. Houston versus Nationals, it's plus 8. I'm going to say 850 or 805.
Huh. I'm surprised that it's that small of odds. I would have thought. Is that what it came to after they evened up the series at 1-1?
Yep.
Okay, so after that win that happened. Okay.
They're not giving you any money. It's like, it's kind of like they're kind of foreshadowing it, I think.
it's like the year that I guarantee. I don't normally use that word, but I knew the Cubs would win the World Series for that year. That for sure that year. Part of the reason I knew is because Vegas was only paying out 2-1 on the Cubs winning the World Series in spring training. It's like, what's the point of betting on that, man? 2-1.
I remember that. Yeah, you remember. I remember that. You called that very nicely. Yeah, it really seems like it. And it would be a good story. We've got they're building up the pitching. You have Corbin, Scherzer, and Strasburg, and the other side, Cole, Greinke, and Verlander.
Yeah.
So it could match up there. And then one last thing, during the game, the Dodgers and the Nationals game, they brought up the bullpen, and the Nationals are the only team in history with the worst bullpen ERA to make the playoffs.
Interesting. All right. Appreciate it. All right, thanks, Chris.
All right,
thanks, man.
Yep.
All right, see you. All right, from here, let's keep it football related. Let's move through the football games. We got plenty more time to talk baseball postseason, but let's just stick to football. Vikings and Giants. Again, this game's real hairy to me. The Vikings are 7-5 versus the Giants, which makes sense because Minnesota Vikings is 75. It's just, where does it go from here? And let me give it another gander just to see if I'm missing something on where it could go. If they, there's nothing close by. National Football League's 85, but it doesn't necessarily have to go that way. Whoops. Caller?
Hey, Zach, how you doing, sir?
Doing all right. How are you, man?
Yeah, man. I told my cousin about you, man. He don't believe me, man. See what he do? He want to play all 32 teams, man. You can't do that, man. You got to pick 2-3 teams. All you need to pick. He don't want to listen, man.
Well, eventually he'll come around if you keep winning.
Hey, Zach, I got a question for you. I just turning to y'all right now, and I got to get you online too. What did I miss? What you talking about for game you talk so far?
Well, we're moving through the games here, and right now we're on the Giants and Vikings game. If you open up the notes, I picked which games I like at the bottom of the notes. So.
Okay. That's all I want. I won't hold you time, man. Okay, no problem, man. We got to do our homework. You help us do our homework. I understand that, sir.
Well, if you go to the notes that are posted on the Patreon page, you know how to get there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, at the end of each game, I'm saying which game I like, and some I'll write neutral if I don't like it. So.
Okay, no problem. You can go ahead and keep doing good work, man.
All right, we'll do.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right.
All right, let's see. Vikings at Giants. So again, Vikings are 7-5 at the Giants. They have a winning record at New York. The date numerology is 19. 67 is the 19th prime. So I was thinking, okay, if the Giants won, they'd be 6-7 at home versus the Vikings. Vikings are 8-7 at the Giants all time if you include the postseason. If they won, they'd be 9-7 all time, kind of like 97, the 25th prime. Giants 25. But if they lost, they'd be 8-8 all time. 19 date numerology. 19 is the 8th prime. That could make some sense too. So you can make an argument either way. If the Vikings won, they would be 1-2 away, and the Giants would be 1-2 at home. Vikings equals 37, the 12th prime, kind of like 1-2. And with Cousins, it's hard to see. If he lost, he'd get his 41st loss all time. Week 5 does equal 41. He'd also get his 25th away loss. Giants is 25. And if he didn't lose, he'd stay on 39 losses in the regular season. New York's 39. So, caller?
What's going on, Zach?
Hey, man. Congrats on the Yankees.
Yeah,
hey, you know what I didn't see about the Yankees yesterday that was just right in front of my face? Is that they could get their 104th win on 10/4. I'm sure you were going off that.
Right, I think that. Yeah, I stood there and I gave you a bad stat. It was a game off because I said 11 straight, and I didn't verify it was 10 straight.
All right, it still worked out for you. I was happy for you.
Yeah, man, it's looking so good. Guess what? All I need is Philly to beat the Eagles and Patriots to beat Washington, and now it's a huge weekend again. And,
Wait a minute.
So I don't have to sweat no games at all.
Wait a minute. You said you need Philly to beat the Eagles. So do you mean to beat the Jets?
Yep, and then I need New England to beat Washington.
Okay. All right.
I got parlays when Vegas, the first night of hockey, when Vegas beat them, they beat San Jose. I got a nice parlay from, I think, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, one of them pending. So I'm looking real good, and it's a cakewalk. I'm still listening to the decode, but I'm not really doing that because I got New England and Philly, and I don't see them losing tomorrow. So I'm just gonna let it ride out. And I didn't hedge yesterday. I'm looking real good.
Okay, you're going to get nervous when I get to the Philly thing. The Philly's probably going to win the game, but my one concern is if they lost, they'd be 10-1 versus the Jets, like 101. So.
All time?
Yeah, because Philadelphia's 101, but it's hard for me to imagine that, so.
Oh, so you're saying they never lost then? That's what that means.
They're undefeated against them.
Oh, yeah, I'm straight. I ain't worrying about that. I ain't worrying about that one. And I'm going to tell you another thing, too. It just popped my mind. They play the Vikings next, and let me see. Eagles play the Vikings, and I believe both teams could be 3-2, or something like that. And I believe 32 is in both of their Gematrias or something. I know I'm looking ahead, but I did see that they play the Vikings, and that's another reason. If you got common sense, what is that? They not gonna let the Jets beat the Eagles. And when you got a big game coming on with Minnesota and Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles the following week,
right? They want to hype that, right?
And that's why I called you to that. Cause check this out: the New York Giant game. Okay, this is how I look at it. The Giants play the Patriots next, so I count that up as an L. It might not be an L, but I still say it's an L. So the Giants won 2 straight, lost 2 straight, and then. They lost 2, won 2, so now I'm thinking they're going to lose 2. So if they lose against Minnesota, you already know the Patriots going to eat them alive. You see what I'm saying?
They look like they should lose to the Patriots next week because there'll be a 3-3 thing, and New York and Massachusetts are both 33 if the Giants lose next week.
Right, so I was thinking they could be on a little pattern for the first 8 games by losing 2, winning 2, then they finna lose 2. And then they got a chance to win 2 because they next 2 games against, I think it's the Cardinals, and then it's another easy opponent. So I'm thinking they on a lose 2, win 2, lose 2, win 2 type of rhythm.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I hear that. That makes some sense.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out. I think that was it. Oh yeah, and the hockey. I know I'm gonna be in Vegas next Sunday through Wednesday. They got games coming on that. It's Columbus Day next Monday, so they gonna have games on early from 1 o'clock. All the games come on at 1 o'clock on that Monday. So
I'll do the NHL early that day. Yeah, I'll do the NHL early that day.
Right. And if you can remember, man, I've been texting you. You didn't reply, but I was trying to see if you can just send me a direct link to your PayPal to my text message. That way I can do it. I know it's in there, but I think you done posted so many notes, so I got to go back and find it where you had posted that description, that PayPal link. So if you don't mind, if you can, like when we hang up, just send me that link, and I'll make sure I have something nice for you.
I'll do that. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And by the way, what's your first name?
You say what?
What's your first name?
Rod.
Rod, okay. There we go. Just so I can save your phone number. All right.
Right. I know you always call me caller from Atlanta, but it's Rod, man. You just call me Rod, and I definitely make sure you send that link, Zach, so I can definitely look out for you.
I'll do that. Thanks, Rod. All right, take care, man.
All right, no problem, man. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, welcome. Take care.
All right.
Caller?
What's up, Zach?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man? You online?
We're doing the live stream right now, yeah?
You doing who?
It's live stream right now on Patreon, yeah.
Oh, okay. Y'all doing the baseball games?
Well, we're doing football right now, yeah.
Hey, man, I like them Jets tomorrow, bro.
I bet you see the 101 thing.
No, I see something with the United Airlines 93. And your boy got 93 wins. Doug Peterson.
Okay. I see. In Pennsylvania, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's a whole ritual with the Al Qaeda Flight 93. It's a lot of stuff, man. It's a lot of stuff. Even with the Luke Falk, the quarterback, the backup that's gonna be playing. He's got a 9/11 his first preseason game, he went 9 for 11.
Okay.
And I think they're kind of going to use that.
Okay. And he went to Washington State like Bledsoe.
Oh, yeah. And your boy Doug Peterson got the 119 birth numerology. And from the day the games are played, it's 119 days from the Super Bowl.
That's true. It is 119 days to the Super Bowl. You're right about that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of people probably ain't gonna pick the Jets, but I think this is the game where they finally get their first win.
It's the game that would shock a lot of people. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, because everybody's been waiting on Sam Darnold like all week. The spread dropped 13-13, and then it went back up when they found out he wasn't going to play. Went back up to like 14.5, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's a big payout right there.
Yeah. Your Cardinals are looking good. Game 7, if the Cardinals goes 11 weeks and 5 days after the manager's birthday. So, all right, man.
Yeah, man. All right. The Cardinals are straight. They good. They're the only team that got that 91, and that's a very big number.
All right, man.
Yeah. So
I appreciate it,
bro.
Thank you. All right, take care. See you, man. Okay. All right. Okay. So the Cousins thing. If he loses, he'd get that 25th away loss, right? And Giants is 25. That's a big number with the Giants. But if he didn't lose, he'd stay on the 24. And his next away game is against the Lions. Lions 24. So this is just what this game kind of just makes me pull my hair out. If Zimmer didn't lose, he'd stay on 34 regular season losses. Giants is 34 as well. And if the Vikings do win, they'd improve to 3-2 to face the Eagles next week. Eagles is 32, and it sounded like the caller was pointing out that that's a primetime game next week. So let me check that out real quick. Do I have that marked as primetime? Maybe it's not primetime. Maybe it's like Fox game of the week or something. Let me double check unless I forgot to put it there, but I tried to mark every single primetime game. No, it's not primetime. Okay. If the Vikings lost their next 2 games, they could also go into the Lions 2-4, and Lions is 24. So that's another scenario. Daniel Jones, he's playing the Vikings on his 133rd day of his age. Minnesota's 133. There's never a certain riddle if a player is going to win or lose versus a team when it lines up like that. So, anyway, Shermer, his next loss, the Giants coach, is 37. It's possible to pick that up against the Vikings because Vikings is 37. But then the next game they play is the Patriots, and it looks like they lose to the Patriots next week just based on the numbers on the board for that game. Here, I can just show you a week ahead what I'm looking at with that. So the Giants, let's see, at the Patriots. So if the Giants lose, they'll be 3-3, right? And New York's 33, Massachusetts is 33, Tom's 33. So pretty sure that's happening. And just beyond that, I'm pretty sure everybody just thinks the Patriots beat the Giants anyway, which they should. So if Shermer escaped without losing this week, he'd certainly get his 37th against the Patriots. It's also possible he does pick up 37 this week and goes into the Patriots on 37 losses and picks up another one. But I'm just not sure how much of a golden boy they want to make Daniel Jones. Because if the Giants won this week and lost next week, they could become 3-3 as well. Caller?
Yeah, quick question, Zach.
Yeah.
You know how when they show a watch, like the Rolexes, when they always have 10-10 on the watches?
I've never noticed that before. Is that what they always show it on 10-10?
Yeah, it's something about it. They always show it on 10-10. If you never heard of it, don't worry about it. But I just noticed that the Patriots and the Giants play on 10-10. I just thought you had knowledge of the 10-10. But
I didn't
don't
know
worry
that.
about it. I'll let you get back to it.
All right, I appreciate it. I'll look into that, though. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you might want to look into it. Like normally, like if you go in the mall or whatever, or if it's on a commercial and they show a picture of a watch or a Rolex, it'll be on 1010. And it's something about it, but I forgot about it. I just knew you knew it. But yeah, you might want to look into that.
All right, I appreciate that. That's interesting. All right.
No problem.
Thanks, man. 10-10, huh? I'm just thinking you drop the zeros, it's 1-1 like 11. I know Rolex equals 74, which breaks down to 11. I'm going to look into that, though. There's got to be a reason for that. 10-10. Okay, so anyway, Vikings and Giants. To me, this is a stay-away game. So, if you see something I don't, by all means. Now, Jets and Eagles. In all likelihood, the Eagles are going to win this game. This game kind of feels to me like the LA Bucks game last week. Hold on, we got a call here. Caller?
Yeah, Zach. This Chris.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Oh, I think you'll like this, man. On the Saints and Buccaneers game, guess who's getting Ring of Honor tomorrow? Remember Will Smith, the defensive tackle that got killed in 2016?
I do. He died. Okay.
Yeah, he getting honored tomorrow in the Saints and Buccaneers game.
Okay, so I think because he's dead, that's probably going to go in the Saints' favor. I'm going to measure from his death to the date of that game and see how that lines up. I still like the Saints in that one. So
yeah, and they also I also found out that the Colts going Ring of Honor the White Freeney on November 10th when they at home against the Dolphins.
Okay, interesting. And once upon a time, the Colts were the Miami Seahawks, so there's something to them doing that against Miami.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Great work.
Thank you, man.
All right, thank you. Take care. Remember Will Smith? He was the Saints defensive player, part of that Super Bowl team, and he died the day of the MTV Movie Awards, and Will Smith got a Lifetime Achievement Award, the actor Will Smith, and the theme that year was gold and black like the Saints colors, and Will Smith had just done the movie Focus, which is about football and gambling and set in Las Vegas. Hold on. Will Smith, football player. April 9th. He died 4/9. 2016. I can't believe it was already that long ago. Hold on. 182 weeks in one day. 182. It's 11. Will Smith. Will Smith, 44, like how they won Super Bowl 44. Huh. Why would they do it? Oh, you know what? Oh, you know what's sick? Tomorrow leaves 86 days left in the year, like 86 to get rid of, and blood sacrifice is 86. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Because he's not alive, and yeah, I still like the Saints in that one. I don't like when they do the halftime rituals with the home teams, but I'm having trouble imagining those 19s not playing in the Saints' favor. All right, Jets and Eagles. So common sense says Eagles win here. But, you know, common sense said the Rams would win last week too, but we saw that there was a narrative there for the Bucs to win, and that's why I advised, you know, putting down one of those small parlay type bets to use the Bucs as a big multiplier last week. I wish I would have had more confidence on it because Bruce Arians had a pretty strong riddle to get that win. Also, like, I'm kicking myself this morning. I almost published a note about why I like Texas Tech for an upset this morning, but after I got beat last night on the Cincinnati game, I was feeling gun shy on the riddle, and I didn't click publish. I just stuck with the Michigan pick. Caller?
Yeah, hey, Zach. I'm trying to keep it on par with what you're talking about, you know, trying to keep it in order. I'm not trying to get off subject, but I'm trying to figure out if you went over the Panthers and Jaguars already, or are you getting to that game?
I think I haven't gotten to it yet, but I do like the Panthers in that one when I do get to it.
Yeah, me too. And I don't know if you have these notes, but I had that the Panthers become 4-3 all time versus the Jaguars, and Panthers in reverse score reduction up to 43. and also in the most pure side for Jacksonville, some to 43.
Right, but technically either team could become 4-3 against each other. It's not. That's not the reason I like them. I like them if you look at the two coaches, look at how their records stack up if they beat each other. It lines up with the Jaguars losing and the Panthers winning.
Right. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying because I had that too. So Doug Marrone could pick up his 38th loss all time as a coach.
Panthers
and Ron
38.
Rivera could pick up his 74th all time win.
And there's something else there too. So yeah. But I like it through the coaches.
Oh, yes. Okay. I like all that stuff too. And then I seen one more thing. Kyle Allen could become 4-0, and week 5 jumps to 40.
That's true.
So,
yeah, that's a good point.
yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there and stuff. So.
All right, appreciate it, man. Good work.
Alrighty.
All right, see ya. Okay, so the Jets and Eagles. The Eagles have a history of dominating the Jets. The Eagles are 10-0 versus the Jets, but when I saw that, I thought, man, Philadelphia and 101. So I mean, this would be the any given Sunday game of the week because that's how the NFL likes to brand itself, right? Anybody can beat anyone. The NFL has parity. So that said, if the Eagles win, they're 3-2, and Eagles equals 32. So the Jets' upset narrative is to make the Eagles 10-1. Jets are 0-5 at the Eagles. 0-5. They could become 0-6 on the 6th of October. And then that's the other thing about Philadelphia. Like Philadelphia and 106, big number with that city. Philadelphia Phillies equals 106. Prophecy equals 106. Philadelphia named in Revelation, Book of Prophecy. So that makes sense too. That's the more logical read. The game's on Falk's 281st day of his age, the 60th prime number. Eagles can become 6-0 at home versus the Jets. And let's see. If the Jets did upset, they would become 1-3 for the year, and they do play Dallas next. Dallas is 13. So for my man in Atlanta, I definitely don't want this to happen, but I would say if you're putting together, one of those small parlays for a big multiplier, you might want to think about tagging the Jets on there because they'd make your parlay, go 1,000 times further. One of those $5 type of bets. You take your strong picks tomorrow and you throw the Jets on there with it, and you think, well, if I lose, it's just $5, but hey, if it hits, I can buy a few bags of groceries. That type of bet. So on the Eagles side in this game, Wentz can get his 26th win at home, right? Philadelphia's 101, the 26th prime. I should put that note here. Wentz can pick up 26th win in Philadelphia. Oops. Philadelphia equals 101, 26 prime. And so here was the other thought. If the Eagles lose next week, they would be 3-8 in Minnesota, and that's a big number there in Minnesota. Minnesota's 38. It does have the 47 connection as well because it has an S in it, but the 38 hits way more. I don't want this to be underlined. So Eagles, I think, will probably lose next week in Minnesota to fall to 3-8. So if they win this week against the Jets and lose next week, they'll be 3-3, and then they'll be facing the Cowboys, who equal 33. So I suspect the Eagles win this game. But Jets got a prayer, and that's why I would use the Jets as a big multiplier. So you don't have to put a lot of money on the Jets, but just if there's a group of games you like, you take that group of games. Like if you're doing a parlay with a group of games you really like, do that parlay, but then just add an extra one with $5 on it. Unless you're a millionaire, then you can, put however much you want on it. But most of us definitely aren't millionaires. Most of us could use some free grocery money. So, okay, so that's my thoughts on that game. Eagles probably taking it, but the 10-1 is what could really go against them. Ravens and Steelers, I'm neutral on this game. A lot of really close games this week. Where did I write? Okay, so if the Steelers win, both teams will fall to 2 and 3, right? Ravens is 83, the 23rd prime. Of course, football's 83. And this would be anybody's division, you know. It would be razor tight. If the Browns lost on Monday Night Football, by the way, the 49ers can end a losing streak of 14 games in October on Monday Night Football. Could also extend to 15 on MNF. We'll get there. MNF's 15, but it's just like how the 49ers began the season by ending the streak of 14 losses on the East Coast. So, anyway, if Steelers win, they'd both be 2 and 3, and the way that game was with the Bengals, Mason Rudolph got the Tom Brady treatment. All day in the pocket, receivers wide open. I mean, that long touchdown where there wasn't a defender within 30 yards of the guy is like, how's that even possible? So, anyway, that's one thing that stands out on the surface if the Steelers get their season rolling. Lamar Jackson, though, his upcoming birthday's in 93 days, and if he won, he'd improve to 9 and 3 in the regular season. So that's hard to make a call on. Harbaugh, the coach of the Ravens, comes in with 106 wins on 10/6, like 106. If he got the W, he'd get his 107th win, the 28th prime on a 28-date numerology. But maybe the hardest stat in everything we're looking at is that if Harbaugh loses, he would get his 81st all-time loss, and Pittsburgh Steelers is 81. That's a big number with the Steelers. So even though I'm neutral on it, I'm barely leaning the Steelers, but I'd still stay away from this game. If Steelers lose, they would fall to 1 and 4, and they do play LA next. LA's 14. 14 is the reflection of 41. Baltimore's 41. But, yeah, just going through everything here, I think the most standout stat is the one I bolded, just that Harbaugh could get his 81st all-time loss. So, there's that Pittsburgh Steelers 81 in the most pure cipher. But again, I think this week, you know, I would just go for those games that have the really standout narratives. So I got a guy who's been in my ear all week about how the Redskins are going to win this game. You know, he's taking the Redskins. He says it's going to happen, but we've been talking about all year the Patriots starting 5-0 and how Washington's the perfect team to do it against. Washington equals 50. Washington Redskins also equals 229, the 50th prime. Brady equals 50. So Patriots getting to 5-0 against the Skins. That's what I expect. I think the reason the line is at -15 is this tribute to 5. If you add 1 through 5 together, it equals 15. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots won by 15 points to further emphasize the 5. I wouldn't be surprised if they land right on that 15. That was at the beginning of the week. The line might have changed, and I'm guessing a lot of bettors are assuming the Patriots will cover that because the Redskins have been pretty pitiful. A Patriots win would make them 5-6 in the regular season. Washington, D.C. equals 56. 5-6 versus the Redskins, that is. A loss would make them 4-7. D.C.'s 47. That's what the guy who's been in my ear all week, he thinks that's what's going to happen, that they're going to fall to 4-7. I just can't go against the 50. We've talked about it all season. So we're only into week 5, but we've been talking about it since week 1. So the game's on Brady's 65th day of his age. Washington, D.C. is also 65. Brady's next away loss all time is 47. There is a D.C. connection there. He could also get his 103rd win, though, and Scottish is 103. We know D.C.'s the land of the Scottish Rite. And, again, those Washington Mystics, I keep going back to how they recently won with 103 points on the day leaving 103 days left in the year. Brady can also improve to 4-1 versus the Redskins in Week 5. Week 5, 41. Probably the best narrative for the Redskins to win would be Bill Belichick staying on 229 wins with the Patriots. So I don't see it, though. I like the 50. Redskins are about as 50 as you can get. Perfect team to start 5-0 against. So, sticking with my thought there. Jaguars and Panthers. Either team can become 2-3, but there's only one team name that equals 23, and that's the Jaguars. If the Jaguars lose, they'll be 2-3 on the year. And either team can become 4-3 against each other. Panthers and 43 are both. Panthers and Jacksonville are both 43. But what stands out here is the coaches. If Marrone loses, he will get his 38th loss in the regular season. Panthers is 38th. And if Rivera wins, he'll get his 74th win. Jacksonville's 74. And he'd also get his 77th all-time win. Jaguars 77. Now, before you pick this game, I do like the Panthers to win the game. It makes sense on both sides with the coaches. You have two inexperienced QBs, so there's not a lot to go off of. Caller did make a good point. Week 5 does equal 40. Allen could start the year 4-0. So that does work. But what I would watch for tonight, let me just make sure they haven't played already. Let me see. I think they play tonight. Oh, never mind. They're on a bye week this week. So never mind. We can't. That's not going to work. But Minshew, who played at Washington State, the weeks the Cougars have been winning, and remember, the Washington State Cougars are in their 100th season, like the 100th NFL season. In the weeks the Cougars have won, the Jaguars have lost. And in the weeks the Jaguars have won, the Cougars have lost. So we're not going to be able to do that this week because the Cougars are on a bye. But let me get this note out. But that is something to watch going forward. That pattern could persist throughout the season. We just saw the shaming ritual where Minshew was at the WSU game and UCLA had the monster comeback. So, anyway, I like how it lines up for the coaches on both sides in this game. The coaches have been pretty good this year. Last year, the coaches were very misleading. This year, they've been very good. So, going to ride that trend. And also, if Carolina wins, they'll get their first home win. They'd be 1-2 at home. The Jaguars would become 1-2 away. Carolina equals 37, the 12th prime, kind of like 1-2. So, I like Carolina there. Falcons and Texans. I was feeling good about the Texans because they could become 3-2 and go into Kansas City 32 and Chiefs 32, but somebody made a great observation this week that has me thinking twice. Matt Ryan, his next game's against Arizona. So if he wins this week, he'd get 104 and stay on 75 regular season losses. And if he beat Arizona next week, he'd get to 105 and stay on 75 losses. Arizona's 105. Arizona Cardinals is 75. So Houston, Texas is 46. That could go either way against him because he's 45 and 45 away. So, hold this note so it stands out more. That said, well, I guess you can make an argument either way, huh? Quinn is 37 and 31 in the regular season. Houston does equal 31 and 32, so he could go either way with that. If Quinn won his next two games, he'd get to 39 wins versus Arizona. Arizona's 39. And Quinn would also get his 42nd win all-time if he won the next 2 weeks. Arizona's also 42. But just looking at this immediate game, if he lost, he would get 32, and Houston's 32. And he'd also get his 34th all-time loss, and Texans is 34. So that's what I would... At first, I was just looking at it, I was like, oh, this looks great. But when the caller made the point about how Matt Ryan's record would be perfect after facing the Cardinals if he won his next two, I said, yeah, that's a really good point. So, makes it tough. Nothing really screamed out to me about Watson's stats for this game or down the stretch. If Bill O'Brien lost this week, he would get his 41st loss. Well, week 5 equals 40 and 41, so it could go either way. He'd get his 44th all-time loss if he lost from the team from Georgia. So, Yeah, the Matt Ryan thing took me off this game too. Even though the Matt Ryan riddle's there and it looks good for him to win his next 2 games, I've gotten burned a few times this year saying like how if it wins this week, it lines up perfectly for next week. So just in light of the fact that there's some stuff there that could, just for the immediate game, that could really go in the Texans' favor, I'm going to lay off this one too. I think it's too dangerous. There's several strikes that go against the Falcons for this immediate game, but if they do win this game, they're pretty golden for next week. I imagine, though, next week beating the Cardinals wouldn't be the greatest payout, so that's the downside. If you're in some type of thing where you got to pick every game, I don't know if you'd have to pick winners or losers, but if I was inclined to make a pick in this game, I'd be inclined to take the Falcons to cover because Houston's a 5-point favorite and they keep playing every single game down to the wire. So it's kind of what I said last week about Houston too. It's a tough call with Carolina, and I was like, well, they got quite a spread and they keep playing every game super close. So if the Falcons did win, both teams would fall to 2-3. Texans does equal 83, the 23rd prime, so it could make sense as well. Okay, Broncos and Chargers. Last week, the Broncos upset LA on the 322nd day of the year, and this game comes exactly 322 days later. So if the Chargers win this game, they'll be 3-2 on the season. Denver's 32, Broncos is 32, NFL's 32. The Broncos' upset narrative would be to improve to 1-4 because LA's 14. If the Broncos did win, they'd become 1-2 in Los Angeles. Los Angeles 37, the 12th prime, like 1-2. And if the Broncos did win, they would face the Titans next. Titans is 43, the 14th prime. So that would make some sense. So Broncos upset the Chargers last year when they were a big underdog. Could do it again. The Broncos have lost 8 straight in the regular season. Big stat. We keep seeing streaks of 8 end in 2019. So 19's the 8th prime. I wanted to see if there was some really spectacular alignment with the death of Pat Bowlen. Pat Bowlen died this offseason for the Broncos. It's 115 days after the day he died. And I didn't really see... Masonic equals 115, but I didn't really see, anything with the Broncos or Pat Bowlen or either team that made sense with that number. I was hoping there'd be something there to give us more of a clue. Well, I guess actually I'm realizing the name of the arena is 115. Dignity Health Sports Park. All right, hold on. Let me just plug that in there. Dignity Health Sports Park equals 115. So, also October 6th leaves 86 days left in the year. Broncos is 86 if they got their first win of the season. The Broncos are 65-52-1 versus the Chargers. If they did lose, they'd get their 53rd loss in the regular season. Los Angeles is 53. And now keep in mind, they could have picked up that 53rd last year in Los Angeles in the year of Super Bowl 53, and they didn't. This game really surprised me last year. I thought that 53rd loss was coming. If the Broncos lost both games this year, they would get to 54. Remember, Los Angeles Chargers equals 100, and 100 equals 54. So, it's possible. Chargers are one of these teams that have a narrative for the Super Bowl. If the Broncos lost, they'd pick up their 35th loss at the Chargers. You got lesser date numerology at 35. What's up, Izzy?
Hey, on that Chargers game, it's going to be his first game back. Melvin Gordon. He was talking about how...
No, he came back last week. He came back last week, didn't
Can you
he?
hear me?
Didn't he play last week?
Say again, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Didn't Melvin Gordon play last week, though?
Yes, he feels slighted because everybody was, when the holdout, everybody was talking about the Cowboys running back, and I meant nothing about him, so no one was really supporting him. So he feels like he has to do, show everybody that, he's worth it, because I guess his contract is ending, and they didn't want to review his contract, so he has something to prove. But I just thought to let you guys know that he's returning to play, I guess, Broncos.
Okay, yeah. Tomorrow should be 176 days after his birthday.
You can check that out, though.
Yeah, you're right. He actually didn't play last week, so yeah. All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Izzy.
All right.
All right, thanks, man. All right, see you. All right, I know last week was 169 days after his birthday because we were talking about that square root of 13, LA 13. So 175. Oh, Melvin Gordon III's 86, and he returns on the day, leaving 86 days left in the year. Perfect. All right. Hey, for the caller who asked me to look at Golden Tate, I apologize. I'm going to do that right now, too. I meant to do that. I forgot. All right, so Gordon's making his return. I imagine he'll have a good game against the Broncos. Perfect ritual. Let me run the numbers on that real quick. Whoops, wrong day. Yeah, it's 176. All right, caller asked me to look at Golden Tate returning from his suspension, and I said I would do that, and then I forgot to do it. All right, Golden Tate, August 2nd. It's 65 days after Tate's birthday or his 66th day of his age. 66th, 11th triangular, New York, 11th state. Golden Herman Tate. Golden Tate. 167, 39th prime, New York, 39. Golden Tate, 40, week 5, 40. Huh. Golden Tate. He's wearing the number 15 for the Giants. They're playing the Minnesota Vikings. Tate. Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that helps us with our pick, though. Hold on, let me just go back to the Vikings game because I just wanted to see if there was any numbers there with that. 6-5, 6-6. I guess we can look at Golden Tate's career stats real quick. All right. His next touchdown is 39. How about that? No doubt he'll score that with New York. And we just saw his full name was 167, the 39th prime. He's playing the Vikings. Caller?
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Hey, I hear you listening to, you looking over Golden Tate?
Yeah.
This is what I found on Golden Tate. His birthday is August 2nd, 8-2, and we got date numerology of 28, so you got the duality of that.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so sometimes those hit, like last week, it was a couple players that had that was born on had 118. Was born on January 18th, and in the date numerology, just to make sure. I got so many damn notes. I think that date. I'm pretty sure that date numerology. I don't know if it was a date numerology. Hold on. Well, anyway, it was similar. I don't want to hold you up to so.
Well, I hear what you're saying though. 28 date numerology. His birthday can be written 2-8, and I mean he is a dynamic playmaker, but it'll be interesting to see what he does in his first game. New QB, new team. So.
Yeah, me personally, I like him. So.
Yeah.
I just I just think different. Like people gonna be like, oh, this is his first game coming back. He ain't gonna do nothing. It didn't end up going off for a good game. So.
66th day of his age, 11th triangular number, New York 11th state, NFL 66. So could be a good sign.
Yeah.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All
right. Thanks, Dave.
No problem. Peace.
Okay. This Broncos Chargers game, the narrative is there for the upset. It's not out of the question, that's for sure. Chargers got it straightforward. It's just the fact that the Broncos have lost 8 straight in these streaks at 8. We've seen so many end at 8. So, the other thing I was going to say about this game is they play each other again in Week 13 in Denver, and that'll be a date with 52 numerology. If the Broncos didn't lose this game, they'd stay on 52 losses versus the Chargers. It doesn't necessarily have to go that way, though. It's just like the Seahawks-Rams game. That was one of the things that could have gone against the Seahawks when we looked down the schedule like that. But ultimately, I had to come back to the streak of 8. So, Broncos would be a nice upset payout, that's for sure. And I think it'd be another game that would surprise a lot of NFL fans. Caller?
Hey, what you doing, Jack?
What's up, man?
Hey, it's kind of loud, man. I'm finishing up at work here, but you were talking about that Broncos game, right?
Right.
I just pulled John Elway's birthday. You might want to look at that.
Okay.
What was it? I just had it. I can't remember. It's like 100 days, and didn't you say there was a 53 on the board in that game?
The Broncos' next loss to the Chargers is number 53.
Yeah, check John Elway's birthday. He's got a 5 and a 3 in it, and it's 100 days from the game, which makes a lot of sense. This is the 100th season of the NFL.
It is.
There might be something there with that, man.
It is 100 days from his birthday.
And it was a 5 and a 3 too. 5 weeks and 3 days or something.
I see 3 months and 8 days like Colorado.
Yeah, that too.
I don't see the 5 and 3 though.
3 too?
I don't see the 5 and 3.
What day's his birthday?
Oh, maybe it's his birthday. June 28th. But I do see the 100. It's 100 days right on the nose. Let me see. Trying to see if I can pick up this 53.
Yeah, I guess so. That's right. Not 5-3. Okay. That's still kind of interesting, though.
It is. It is. 100th NFL season.
What are you thinking, anything?
Well, Flacco came over from the Colts like he did. So. Yeah, this could be.
I'm going to hang up because I can't hardly hear you. Just tell me what you think, man.
All right, yeah. All right, call me back. I appreciate it. All right, see you. That is a good observation that it's 100 days after Elway's birthday. Could the Broncos get their first win 100 days after Elway's birthday? Yeah, those streaks of 8, though, man, they are. All right, neutral, but the upset narrative is there again. So. Rivers, one thing that's going in Rivers' favor is he could stay on 41 home losses all time. Broncos is 41, and he could get his 68th home win Denver is 68. So if he got his 40th home loss, Week 5 does have that 40 connection. So again, it's hard to go against those streaks at 8. It is, man. I mean, they've been really good for us. It's just I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with this Broncos team. Check one thing about Carson real quick. Carson, CA. With Elway, it was 14 weeks and 2 days. Carson, CA is 142. Huh? Carson, CA is 52 as well. Yeah, the upset narrative's there. If I was going to bet on the Broncos upset, I'd mix it in as one of those small parlay multipliers too. I wouldn't put a lot on it, but definitely possible. Because there's also something to the fact that they upset them last year on the 322nd day of the year, and then they're playing each other again 322 days later. Again, 322 is that Yale Skull and Bones number, and Walter Camp, American football. He went to Yale. He was probably in Skull and Bones. All right, Packers at Cowboys. I really wanted to see the Cowboys win last week. I got too much into that thought because the numbers were there for the Saints to win last week, but I was liking both of these teams being 4-1 at the end of this game, with the Packers upsetting the Cowboys in Dallas. So the narrative for the Cowboys is to become 3-0 at home because Cowboys is 30. Not out of the question, the Cowboys winning. Whoever wins again is going to be 4-1. Dallas is 41. Green Bay's 41. The Packers are 6-8 at the Cowboys to date. If they didn't lose, they'd become 7-8. They'd stay on 8 losses in 2019, 19 the 8th prime. In light of there being 28 date numerology, that's the 7th triangular number. They could get that 7th win. But looking at Rodgers' numbers, look at him if he wins. He gets his 113th win all time. Dallas is 113. He'd become 46-46 away all time. Dallas, Texas is 46. If he won in the regular season, he would be 41-41 away. Dallas is 41. Green Bay is 41. Rodgers is 41. Week 5 is 41. And Rodgers is 4-3 versus the Cowboys in the regular season. So that's what could hurt him because Packers is 44. If he lost, he'd be 4-4. And he's 5-3 versus the Cowboys all time. So Rodgers is 63. It is the year of Super Bowl 54. There's some other notes here. He's 2-1 at Dallas all time. That's including the playoffs. So there's some things going against him, but I mean, there's more going for him than against him. That's for sure. So Rodgers has some good numbers, I would say, to win in Dallas. Better than his numbers to lose. The most concerning one's this one right here. That Packers is 44. But if he won and became 5-3, that's a big football number. Vesica Pisces is 53, the shape of the football. So there's more in Rodgers' favor than against him, that's for sure. The game's on Garrett's 193rd day of his age, the 44th prime. Packers is 44. The game's 69 days after Prescott's birthday. Green Bay Packers is 69. And Dak, he's on 19 all-time home losses. You got the 19 date numerology. He's also on 8 all-time home losses, 19 the 8th prime. So his all-time stats, are sort of favorable, but his regular season stats, not as much. And I would look at the regular season before I looked at the all-time. He can stay on 19 home wins on the 19 date and get his 8th home loss. 19 the 8th prime. He'd also stay on 35 regular season wins on the lesser 35 date numerology. So, to me, those are the more important stats regular season, and those go him. So, I like that a lot lines up for Rodgers here. Regular season and all-time. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Packers in this one. So definitely not a one-way street, though. If you're just looking for safe games, I'd probably shy away from this one, too, because it's not – I wouldn't call it a safe pick, but I do favor the Packers. I like them as an underdog. You want to play it safer, take them to cover. So the best riddle on the board, I think, for the Cowboys is for them to become 3-0 at home. But it's not like every single year they become 3-0 at home. So it's just Rodgers' numbers are too Dallas-oriented with a win to pass up on. All right, and then Colts at Chiefs. This is another game that could shock people, but I'm sticking with the Chiefs here. I like the Chiefs to start 5-0. I think if they're going to get shocked at home, it's probably more likely to happen to the Houston Texans because, again, the Dallas Texans in history became the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs win this week, they'll be 5-0. Chiefs is 50, Kansas City's 50. If the Colts upset them, the Colts would improve to 3-2. Chiefs is also 32, Kansas City is also 32. So you can make an argument either way in the head-to-head records. The Colts do face Houston next. Houston's also 32. If they lost and became 2-3, keep in mind Texans is 83, the 23rd prime. They could go in there 2-3. And if the Colts lost their next two games, they could become 2-4. Colts is 24. The last time the Chiefs lost at home was to the Chargers. We saw that was 297 days earlier. So this is Sunday Night Football. If the Colts lose, they'll stay on 12 wins versus the Chiefs. SNF is 12. So they can stay on 12 wins versus the Chiefs with a loss. If the Colts lose, they'll be 7-5 at the Chiefs. Indianapolis Colts is 75. If well, actually, it doesn't matter. Caller?
Real quick, Zach. I ain't trying to take you off your pick, but that Green Bay and Dallas, 80, almost 75% public's on Green Bay, and it's the underdog, so that's not looking real good.
Really? The underdog money's on Green Bay?
Yeah, so the public's still in your riddle too, so I'll be real careful on that. Yep.
Yeah,
public's all over.
I appreciate that. I don't like when the heavy money's on that because Vegas doesn't want to pay out on that.
Right, and it's plus money. And another thing I was thinking about that game, if you notice, Green Bay won 3 straight. If they lose this week, they can lose 3 straight. So it's kind of like a 3-3 ritual.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, man.
Yep.
All right.
I just wanted to inform you where the money was, but I'll let you get back to it.
All right, thanks. All right, good tip. Let me, man, his numbers are so good for Dallas, though, but hold on. I just want to go and see what we got here. I want to see what this is showing on this site. It is good to monitor this site pre-game because it'll show you in real time where the money is, and I'd keep an eye on it. If it evened out more, God, over 70%'s on the Packers. That really shocks me, man. They do have a big fan base, but so do the Cowboys. Huh. All right. Caller?
Yeah. I was wondering if you could look into Marlon Mack on the Colts when you have a chance, like for fantasy football as well.
I'll do it. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome. Take care. Caller?
Hey, Zach, Colts and Chiefs?
Colts and Chiefs, yeah, that's what we're looking at.
All right, a couple of things I like for the Colts. So last week, Andy Reid got his 199th win as a coach. And this game tomorrow comes on his 199th day of his age. So he can stay on 199 wins. And he picked up his 69th win with the Chiefs last week against the Lions. And Lions is 69, and Colts is 69. So he can stay on 69.
Wait. Did you say that the game's 199 days after Reed's birthday?
It's on his 199th day of his age, yeah.
Okay, I must have screwed something up. I need to check it because I have a different connection.
Oh yeah, his birthday is March 19th, right?
Oh, hold on, let me plug it in and see if I got the wrong thing here. His birthday is March 19th. What did I do? Let me see.
Maybe I did get it wrong. 201, I think.
That's what I have.
Oh, okay, yeah. Indianapolis is 201. And if the Colts coach won, Frank Reich, he'd become 14-9 all time, like 149, the 35th prime on 35 date numerology.
That's true.
But yeah, mostly just Andy Reid picking up his 69th win with the Chiefs last week versus Lions, and then this week he plays the Colts, which is also 69.
That is
so
true.
Stay on 69.
It is true. Yeah, great observations.
From this game to the AFC game last year's playoffs, it's 267 days, and I think Indianapolis Colts is 267.
Yeah, we do have that one in there. I think that's one of the best things going for the Colts there. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, appreciate it, man.
All
right, thanks. All right, so I got to look up Marlon Mack. I'm going to do that. All right, let me finish going through all this. So again, if the Chiefs lose this week, they'll definitely win next week because Houston Texans is 51. So there is a possibility that the Chiefs are 5-1 by the end of that Texans game. It's just Chiefs and Kansas City are both 50, and I'm thinking, how do they not get that? So there isn't. Again, Colts could improve to 3-2. They do face Houston next. Chiefs, Kansas City, Houston. It's all 32. We saw how big 12 was last week in Sunday Night Football. So if the Colts don't win, they stay on 12 wins versus the Chiefs, right? And again, if they lose, they're 7-5, and Indianapolis Colts is 75 in the most pure cipher. It is 267 days after the last playoff match. Colts lost that game 13-31. Again, Reed came from the Eagles. Reich came from the Eagles. Philadelphia is the 267 area code. Indianapolis Colts does equal 267. So is that telling us that they get their vengeance in this game? It's interesting. This could be a weekend full of upsets. There are a lot of underdogs that have pretty good riddles this weekend. This could be like the weekend that really turns the NFL on its head, and the NFL loves to do that. Again, that's the whole NFL's claim to fame, the parody. So, Chiefs got by in a nail biter last week. So Reich's on those 12 wins again. SNF is 12. I'm just thinking, 12 in SNF. So, caller is right that Indianapolis does equal 201. The game's 201 days after Reed's birthday. The game's 19 days after Mahomes' birthday. Kansas City, 67 the 19th prime. So there's a couple ways to look at this. Mahomes is 9-2 at home all time. Indianapolis Colts is 75 like we talked about, but it's got two S's in it, so you can add +9 for each S. So Indianapolis Colts also equals 93. Remember on September 3rd, they made it Andrew Luck Day in Indianapolis? So Mahomes could fall to 9-3 at home. It's possible. But if he wins, think about how he'd be 10-2, right? And then his next game at home is against Houston. Houston's 112, just like Chiefs is 112. So if he wins his next two games, that would make a lot of sense. He'd be 11-2 at home. Caller?
Back. So I pay attention to lines, as you know. So Chiefs line opened up 54 total and 9 points. They were favored of 9.5. Now it's 12.5 and it's 56. That tells you the Colts are at least going to cover the game and have a good shot of winning. Because if it was going to be a blowout, the total would have stayed or went down, but the point spread itself would have went up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Colts to cover could be a very smart call here. So.
Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there. They got a shot to win this game, Zach, but I definitely the cover looks really, really good.
It's probably the smart way to do it. So.
Yeah, I just saw it. So, and I think it's like 80. I want to say 80-something% on the Chiefs right now, but I pay attention more close to the game time before doing something like that. I like if the stats are like that, are about 80% and higher both ways. That looks good for the dog.
Yeah, good points.
So, and then there's one more thing. I don't know if there's any correlation, or I guess if the game's close with regards to Gematria. Usually the sweet spot on that site for some reason is 53 to 56% both ways, tickets and cash. So whichever team ends up with those two numbers percentage-wise, I'd say like 8 out of 10 times they actually win the game, whether it's a dog or a favorite, it doesn't matter.
All right, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, too.
So that's all, Zach.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You got it.
All right, thanks, man. And for the guy who's watching, and for the guy who will surely text me if the Chiefs win afterwards, he'll text NBC equals 19, 19 date numerology, free money. That's his favorite text when he wins on the network. NBC does equal 19. So Mahomes can get his 19th all-time win on NBC, Sunday Night Football. I won't be surprised if the Colts cover. The Lions just played them really close last week. The Colts are obviously a formidable team. So, yeah, it just this week is the tightest week of NFL scripts so far that I've seen yet. But yeah, if Mahomes wins this week and next week, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because he faces Houston next. So he'd become 11-2 at home against Houston. And then if he won after that, he'd become 12-2 at home. And that's an interesting game because he faces Rodgers in that game. His next home game after that, Rodgers is born on December 2nd, 12/2. So, Mahomes is 8-1 at home in the regular season. And again, you got that 19 date numerology to 8th prime if he stayed on it. So, let's see. All right. Yeah, I just... The game, if the Chiefs win this game and get beat next week by the Texans at home, that it's another possibility because they could fall to 5-1. Houston Texans is 51. That one would really shock people, but then it would screw up the thing with Mahomes becoming 11-2. And remember, if Mahomes does start the year 7-0, which we've been talking about as well, he'd do that in Denver, Colorado. Denver, Colorado, 70. So. Caller?
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah, you want to mute your video on the back. You'll hear me better.
All right. Okay. I got some notes here on the Colts game.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes equals 82. He can fall to 8-2 at home.
This is true.
He has a 4-1 record in October. SNF equals 42. He's 16-2 on Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs equals 172. If you look at the Chiefs' regular season record, they have a 419 losses. They can stay on 419 with the win. 419 is 81st prime. Sunday Night Football equals 81.
Who can stay on the 419 losses?
Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good observation too. So your notes kind of were on both sides, which is kind of how this game is. It's tight. So.
Yeah, I figured I would share what you didn't have.
Yeah, no, they're great observations. I appreciate it. So yeah, you're right on about the record.
Patron. I appreciate all your work, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great call. Thanks, man.
Yep. Have a good day, buddy.
All right, see you. Okay, so he's right. They are on 419 regular season losses. And if you go to Tools Number Properties and plug in 419, it is the 81st prime. And Sunday Night Football, 81 in the most pure cipher. So that's a great observation. I'm going to plug that one in here. Hold on, I'm going to put it up at the top. Chiefs are on 419 regular season losses. I'm going to look at Marlon Mack next. 419, 81st prime. Yeah, I'd watch the public money. If the public money's on the Chiefs covering, I'd go against that. I'd go against the Colts to cover. I think that's so. Always wait as long as possible to make your pick and use pregame and Vegas Insider and see where the money's going. So he got more thorough with the splits. He looked at his Sunday stats. So last year I was being more thorough. I was going over more things in my decodes, but I thought ultimately I come back to the things I've been looking at this year that just seem to be more consistent. I just want to go back and show you what he said about his Sunday stats. If you want to look this stuff up, you go to Football Reference, you put in a guy's name, you go to splits, you go to career, and then you can search by the day of the week. And so he said Mahomes could become 17-2 on Sunday, and Kansas City Chiefs is 172. So that is another good sign for Mahomes to prevail with the win. It's just, do they cover that 11-point spread? That's a pretty big spread in the NFL. So yeah, maybe I should get back to doing the days of the week. Mahomes is 16-2 on Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs equals 172. All right, and then for the person who asked about Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack, I just his birthday's March 7th, the 66th day of the year. Colts equals 66. It's 213 days after his birthday. That's the Monday Night Football number. 30 weeks and 3 days. 30 weeks and 3 days. Let me run his name. Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack. 69. Let's see his full name. Marlon Devon Mack, 82. Arrowhead Stadium. Arrowhead Stadium's 81 as well, for if you use the rule with S. Plus 9 for that S. Arrowhead Stadium. Okay. But yeah, and this thing too, just in the head-to-head record right there, it looks good for the Chiefs, making the Colts 7-5 at the Chiefs. So. All right, Marlon Mack, I was looking more to stats. He's got 14 touchdowns. If Mack scored one touchdown, he'd have 15. SNF's 15. So that would make sense if he picked up his 15th touchdown rushing. Caller?
Yes, I just wanted to share this again. I forgot about this. If you look at Brissett's road record, 2-9. October equals 39. Also, he can fall to 2-10 on the road. Jacoby Brissett equals 210.
Hold on, I gotta check that out about Brissett's record. SNF is 39. That's a big. You have him at 2-9 away. I have him as 2-7.
Yeah, it was 2-9. If you look at the
Oh, you know what? That might be his all-time record. Like when he gets inserted in games where he doesn't start. I bet you on. Did you look on Pro Football Reference?
I did under split, sir.
Yeah, I bet you you're right about that. I bet you he is 2-9 on there. So that's the.
Yeah.
He's 2-7. He's 2-7 away as a starter. But I bet you.
2-9.
Yeah. So the difference between the website Football Database and Pro Football Reference is they add the stats where if a guy plays in the game at all. So if he comes in for one pass, then he's going to get credit with the win or loss if his team wins or loses. So
yeah, I didn't know if we used it not for this kind of work. I always put it in my notes, you know what I mean? But I didn't know if we used it or not. But I think that was interesting with the 9 and 210.
well, maybe it is. I think it might be a good idea to have it in the notes because Dalton, like last Monday night, I was liking Dalton to get that 68th win as a starter because it was his 337th day of his age. But if you go to Pro Football Reference, he has those 68 wins because there was a game where he came in as the backup. So, yeah, it's probably good to look at it. All right, man. Yeah, good point. All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so Marlon Mack, I wouldn't be surprised if Marlon Mack picks up 1 touchdown rushing because he'd get that 15th career touchdown on SNF 15. So let me plug in this note here about Mack. The game is 213 days after Mack's birthday. Next rushing touchdown is 15. SNF equals 15. If he was on Monday Night Football, I'd really be digging him. Just because Monday Night Football is 2-1-3. But, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he grabs a touchdown. Yeah, I like him for at least 1 touchdown. One would make the most sense, again, because SNF's 15, but he could go beyond that. So, if Brissett loses, he'll be 2-8 away, right? Oh, wait, hold on. That is the date with 28 date numerology. I didn't write that. And here, just to show people what I was talking about, if you go to Brissett splits, it probably does show him as 2-9 away, but again, this site doesn't discriminate. Yeah, so it does have him as 2-9 away. This site doesn't discriminate for starts or just appearances in games. Just to go back down in time, there was a time when I didn't know about this football database website, and I used to just use Pro Football Reference. And a lot of things that like lined up looking at the just on this site, they weren't coming through, and then I was like, that's when I realized this website was like, oh, it's because they're not actual starts. So I started thinking these stats were a lot better, but now after what happened to me last Monday night with Dalton, I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, okay, so which one is the better one to go with? I've still found that using the starter stats is the better one to go with. Caller?
Hey, Zach. The caller before just reminded me of another stat I had for the Colts and Chiefs. If the Chiefs did lose, they'd pick up their 439th franchise loss, including playoffs. 85th. And Mahomes and Brissett's birthday are 85 days apart.
Well, hold on. After you were talking about the 439, it did like a glitch, and I think you said something we didn't hear. What was your thought on the 439?
Okay, 439 is the 85th time.
Okay.
And Patrick Mahomes and Jacoby Brissett's birthdays are 85 days apart.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Him bringing up those two made me think, you know how at the beginning of the year ESPN had the Year of the Black Quarterback story, and it showed Mahomes and Lamar Jackson from Baltimore, right? So the Colts used to be the Baltimore team. Just wonder if that could be a little riddle. So sometimes I wonder if these teams carry on the tradition of the old team. If the Chiefs lost, they'd be 4-1, and Baltimore's 41. I mean, they're not the Baltimore Colts anymore, but that's something to keep in mind. If the Chiefs lost, I'll make a note about that here. Okay. I'm still leaning towards the Chiefs pulling this one out. Chiefs 50. So, could be a battle of a game, though, just like last week's game was with the Lions. Thing is, though, about this game, I mean, the Chiefs aren't going to be a good payout. So, it'd be more fun to take the Colts as an upset. And that's why what I would do this week is the games that have the stronger riddles, I would make those your just straight bets, and then I'd build some upset parlays around those. So, and you know, a Colts upset, Colts to cover. Colts to cover wouldn't pay as much, but hold on, we got another caller here. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
Hey, man.
So I was kind of waiting to the end to see if I could grab your thoughts on something for a minute. It's football related, but it's a college game.
Okay.
So it's Michigan State versus Ohio State, and it's starting in like 20 minutes. So that's why I was waiting until you were done. But the interesting thing is, I'll just run it through it real quickly. So Michigan State's a big underdog. It's like a 19.5, 20-point line. Michigan State head coach comes in with 111 wins. Ohio State equals 112. The Ohio State coach comes into the game 8-0 for his career, and we already know what that 8. Upset equals 54 and 81. And today has a 54 date numerology.
Well, upset equals today's date numerology really does connect to upset. Today has 18, 27, and 54 date numerology, and all those words are upset. So.
Yeah. Let me just see. Okay, so for the record, Ohio State and Michigan State head to head. Ohio State is 32-14, so Michigan State can pick up their 15th win on 10-5. And Ohio State is 15-9 at home against Michigan State, so they can pick up that 10th loss. And I'm just trying to figure out exactly, kind of trying to just gauge my exposure, really. But that was pretty much all I saw in that game.
Well, those things are interesting. I remember last week, who did Ohio State play last week? Nebraska. So
yeah, I believe Nebraska.
Yeah, there were some upset narratives there too. But like I was saying, I was just like, man, I just see Ohio State going places this season because of the death of Beanie Wells' brother and how that synced up with the start of their season. This would be a huge loss for them if they lost to Michigan State. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, so
yeah. And horseshoe equals 112 also.
Uh-huh.
You know how that ties into the Buckeyes thing. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. I mean, I hear it. Everything you said made sense. It's just like, because of that death of Beanie Wells' brother, I just see Ohio State going places this season. So it would be
okay.
Yeah, if you go for the upset, I wouldn't go big on it.
Okay, let me just plug this in real quick. One thing I did notice, they play Northwestern next week, Ohio State, and Wildcats. It's the Northwestern Wildcats. Wildcats equals 91. So if they win that game, if they lose this game and win that game, they could be 9-1. And Michigan State plays Wisconsin next. Wisconsin Badgers, and they can pick up. What was it with Wisconsin? I know something specifically tied with Wisconsin. Well, it's a big line, That's fucking 20 points.
Hold on. I want to go back and look at my Florida Auburn notes this morning because I know I was talking because Florida was the upset here for this one. Auburn was the favorite, so Florida beat them good, so they got the upset. I just want to see if there's anything like parallels what you're talking about right here. We saw the Florida football coach get his 85th win today, and Auburn equals 85. So. Yeah,
it's kind of.
Yeah, I was smelling some upsets today, so yeah, Florida just upset Auburn pretty good. Man.
Yeah, it's crazy. And this guy's a new coach. This is a nice game, so. But,
yeah.
All right, I'll probably just sprinkle a little bit on it. I just wanted to see what you thought about it.
All right, I'll look at it. I'll interrupt what we're doing real quick to look at this game because I'm sure other people are interested in it too. So here, let me go over it. But yeah, you made some great observations. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, welcome. I feel like I have no balls because I didn't hit click publish on my Texas Tech notes this morning. I'm telling you, I would have clicked publish if Central Florida won yesterday. Killed me. Okay. So Florida coach got the 85th win over Auburn. Can we get another upset with Michigan State? The other big upset that could happen tonight, which is possible, there's some numbers there to support it, is Cal beating Oregon. But man, Oregon plays well at home. All right, hold on. Caller?
Hey, so I don't know if you noticed, but the Chiefs, well, obviously they play the Texans next, but the next game for the Colts is in 2 weeks, and they play Houston as well. So if the Colts win, 3-2.
Right. I have that in there. How they could become 3-2. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Darn, my bad. Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's all good, man. Because Kansas City's 32, Chiefs is 32, Houston's 32. If they lost, they'd be 2-3. Texans is 83, the 23rd prime. But yeah, there's some things there for the Colts for sure. So.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay. My bad, man.
All right. Yeah. No, it's all good, man. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. See you. So I see what caller's saying. Ohio State could get their 15th loss against Michigan State. You know what? This is the 47th game between these teams. That's the 15th prime number. Today's 10-5, 10-5. Here, I'll put together a little post for this real quick. Let's just do it real fast. Where's the game at? There it is. All right, we only have 10 minutes till game time. So, man, 20-point dog. What's the deal here? Whoops, wrong button. Ohio Stadium. All right, hold on. This Cal at Oregon game, the narrative for Cal to upset on this day with the upset numerology is to become 5-1 because Oregon Ducks is 51. But if the Ducks win their next two, they'd be 5-1 as well. Eugene's 105, today's 10/5, so I just wonder though, the upset numerology is good in college sports, especially college basketball. So, all right, hold on. All right. Ohio State is 32-14 versus Michigan State. So 47th game, 15th prime number. I'd take a look at what Michigan State covering pays out. Caller?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Victor again, Spartans equals 54 too, Zach.
Spartans has got the 54-2, yeah? All right, yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
so
man.
I'm going to watch it real quick just in case you catch anything else. Thank you for looking at it.
Yeah, no problem. All right, see you. So Spartans is 54 and 27, like the date numerology. It's just, I keep going back to that Beanie Wells brother death, though. I thought that was, because it was all synced up with the start of their season and their first opponent. Okay, so either Ohio State picks up the 33rd win tonight, or, man, the fact that it's the 47th game, you know. That could spell trouble. Ohio State. He was saying something about 11-2. Where was that? Oh, it must be at their home field. Let me see. No, they got more games than that. At home, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 wins at home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14 and 8. It's actually, I thought it'd be a bigger margin than that. Okay. I'm not sure where he came with the 11 and 2 stat. Maybe the coach's record. Caller?
Yeah, it was the coach is on 111 wins with Michigan State.
Okay, that's what it is. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
No,
All right,
no problem.
all right, thanks. So he could get his 112th versus the Buckeyes. Ryan Day. Ryan Day is 8-0. Upset does equal 81. Oh, Ryan Day. and 52. All right. Whoops. So that is interesting that he could get his 112th win. Michigan State coaches 111-52 with MSU. Buckeyes, or no, it's Ohio State. Ohio State equals 112. I mean, if this is going to happen, there's going to be a birthday alignment here, I'm pretty sure. March 9th to today. 210 days. It is his 211th day of his age, which is the 47th prime. And again, you got that prime number relationship that goes in Michigan State's favor. Don't forget Ohio equals 47, right? And let me see, Ryan Day birthday. His birthday's March 12th, just 3 days later. 207, 208. Whew. Okay. Well, I can't lie. I mean, there's a pretty decent upset narrative here. I wouldn't take Michigan State to win. I'd be more inclined to take them to cover. See the name of the stadium real quick. And I want to go back and look at the last time they beat them at home. Ohio Stadium. Columbus, Ohio. Columbus is 47 too. Columbus, Ohio's 54, like the date numerology, like Spartans. Columbus OH is 51. Both teams could be 51, 5-1. That's what the over-under is too, huh? Did I get rid of the head-to-head? Ohio State, head-to-head. See when the last time Ohio State. They beat Michigan State last year, November 10th. The last time they lost at home was November 21st, 2015. $202 weeks ago. 222. Michigan State Spartans. Ohio State Buckeyes. 203. It's a week off. Michigan State football schedule. Caller? Hello? 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 Alright. I don't know, can't hear them. They got the Wisconsin Badgers next week. They've been playing well. Wisconsin Badgers. Caller?
Yeah, Zach, this Chris.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
I think the Yankees might sweep the Twins, man. They just went up 8-1 just now.
Yeah, I was saying.
I think that's a possibility, man.
That's what I was saying yesterday. If they win yesterday, I thought that the most likely scenario is they probably do sweep them because then they'll be 16-2, and those are big baseball numbers. So
yeah, they just scored a couple of runs just a few minutes ago in the 5th inning. So it's 8-1.
Okay, yeah, good heads up. Yeah, sounds like they're winning tonight.
All right, that's all I wanted.
All right, thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Somewhere my dad is real happy right now. All right, let's see. Wisconsin Badgers is 181, the 42nd prime. So if Michigan State loses, they'd go into that game 4-2. 181's the 42nd prime. Let's see. All right. The game's about to kick off. Make sure there's not some 51 connection I'm missing. Badgers. Let me see here. Ohio State. Ooh, we'll see. Northwestern Wildcats. Northwestern. Wildcats. Oh, so that he was pointing out. Caller was pointing out how if Ryan Day won this game and lost today and won his next game, he'd be 9-1 versus Wildcats. So yeah, he's right about that. It's possible. Who do they play after Northwestern? Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin Badgers. All right. Well, the upset riddle is there, but again, just like there was an upset riddle last week too for Nebraska, and I was just real doubtful about it, just because again I see Ohio State going places. Michigan State's a lot better team though. Caller.
Ohio State coach has got an 8-game winning streak, huh?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that is true. So
Miami just went down pretty big. They're like minus almost 550, something like that.
If I'm betting Michigan State, I'm not betting a lot on it just because I expect Ohio State to go places. But I'm betting some fun money just because there's a good upset narrative here, and it would be a decent payout. So,
Points look good.
yeah, I like that it's the 47th game, the 15th prime. It's 10-5, and Michigan State could get their 15th win in the series. I mean, that's really interesting to me. So
The other way around is maybe I'm wrong. I thought Ohio State was 14-8. I thought maybe I'm wrong about that.
Okay, you're right. Ohio State is 14-8 at home. I was talking about the overall series. So that's how the 15 could play in Ohio State's favor, though, getting the 15th home win. So the 15th.
It seems like a double-decoded game.
It is. And again, like I said, I really think Ohio State, based on the Beanie Wells death ritual, I think they're going places this year. So, yeah.
We'll see. Will the 8 go to 9, or will the 8 stop?
Yeah, it is another 8. You're right about that. All right, man.
And those 8, man.
Yeah. All right, good point. All right, take care. So this is what I was talking about with Beanie Wells. So this happened July 18th, 18/7, like 187. Ohio's 187 in Satanic Gematria. Beanie Wells' brother was supposedly shot to death in his driveway. It was a date with 44 and 64 numerology. Beanie Wells is 44 and 64. He used to be the running back at Ohio State. Kills 44 and 64. The surname Wells is 64. That was a date with 37 numerology. Just look how shooting and Beanie Wells go together. Happened in Akron, Ohio. And it was exactly 44 days before their first game. It happened in Summit County, 193, the 44th prime. So I made a video the day this happened. I said, keep an eye on what Ohio State does this season. This could be a sign that they're on their way to having a big year. So loss against Michigan State would really dampen that. And I'm glad Chris just pointed that out because, yeah, the 15 could play for Ohio State as well. They could get that 15th home win. So, but you got the upset narrative. You got the fact that the Michigan State coach can get his 112th win. Ohio State's 112. So I wouldn't go crazy with the upset. It's more likely than Nebraska upsetting them last week, that's for sure. And again, you also have the location. Columbus, OH is 51. Both teams could be 5-1. Ohio State would have to play really well for the rest of the season, which isn't out of the question. So I'd measure and see if it's worth the risk. But there is a narrative there, no doubt about it. So I'll post these notes real quick on the wall, then we'll finish up here with the Monday Night Football game. Alright. Let me just put this up on the wall in case anybody wants to do some real-time betting. Yesterday I screwed up and got the notes out for the Rangers-Rays game in the middle of the second inning and got lectured by the trolls. But, the score was still 0-0, and it looked great for the Astros. I should have had it out before the game started. Let's see. So I will put that up there in case you want to take a peek at that yourself. And let's come back to NFL football. Okay. All right, so we got one game left. Browns at the 49ers. And true to the theme of the week, it's another tight game. San Francisco's a slight favorite at home. The Browns are 18-9 versus the 49ers. Keep in mind we have different date numerology now because it's Monday Night Football. If the Browns won, they would be 19-9, which is kind of like 199, the 46th prime. I don't know if you followed my work the year of this Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco, which was the 46th of the modern era, but there were 199s all over the place in that game. Again, 199 is the 46th prime. Levi's Stadium equals 46, where the 49ers play. So in that sense, a Browns win could make some sense. However, what jumps out at me is if the Browns lost, the 49ers would become 7-8 against the Browns. And remember, the last Browns Monday night game was all about 78. Caller?
Hey, Zach.
Hey.
So this is Mark Kennedy. I've never called in to you before, but I was looking at the football game for the Cowboys, and I know you've been through this 16 ways from Sunday, but Green Bay's going into it 4-0 in AT&T. Aaron Rodgers is going into it 3-0 in AT&T. All three of Aaron's games have had a 31 in the score, including the Super Bowl. Super Bowl was 31-25. The October 2017 game was 35-31, and I forgot to write down the other one. But after in the 17 and the 19 game, both have the same date numerology. Because one was on October 8th, 2017, the other one's on October 6th, 2019, the upcoming. And after the 17 win, the news outlets kept running Rodgers owns, with owns in parentheses, and owns equals 71, 17, 37, and 19 in the four majors. So 17 and 19, clearly, this last game was in 17. This game's in 19. And Wikipedia on October 9th, 2017 also changed the Wikipedia page for a brief amount of time to say that Aaron Rodgers owns AT&T Stadium.
I see this. Yeah, I see this. And AT&T's 41 like Dallas and like Green Bay and like Rodgers, so it makes sense.
Yep.
Huh.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, this again, his numbers are so good if he wins there. Caller did point out the money's huge on the Packers. Maybe it's because bettors are onto that, how well he plays down there.
So I'm not so sure because Dallas is going in 3-1, and Green Bay is going in 4-0, right?
Well, not for the season.
For this season. Well, they're both going in 3-1.
Right, exactly. So either one could
Which
be
has
4-1.
been in all three of Aaron's games. 31's been in the score all three of his games. I'm not so sure what they're not trying to show us here is that the ownership is about to change back again. Because Green Bay's 4-0 in the stadium, so they can become 4-1 in the stadium, and Rodgers would become 3-1 in the stadium.
When you say, oh, the new Dallas Stadium, is that what it is? The new
AT&T Stadium.
Ah, okay.
Green Bay is 4-0. Rodgers is 3-0.
Okay.
Ever since they've moved to the new AT&T Stadium.
Okay. Did Rodgers not play in one of those games?
Rodgers didn't play in the one where he had his collarbone broke, and Dallas lost that one even.
Who was the QB in that game?
I can't.
It doesn't matter, but okay, yeah. So that's interesting. Well, that's interesting that they could fall to 4-1 then as a team.
At the stadium.
At
the new stadium.
Yeah, with the big screen, I got it. But Rodgers could become 4-0. Shoot.
Yeah, which is a big number for Rodgers because he's 41-40, right?
Yeah, and Week 5's 41-42.
Right.
I'd watch how that public money is. If the money stays crazy heavy on the Packers, I like to go against the public. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'd watch that money. If it evens out, I'd take the Packers.
Right. I mean, if the public money stays on the Packers, then there's a pretty good chance it's going to go Dallas.
Right? I agree. But if it evens out, Rodgers' numbers are really good to win in Dallas. So.
I got it. He's very successful there.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a neat riddle.
Yeah, it is. It's a great observation. I appreciate it.
Right.
All right, thanks, man.
All right. appreciate all that you do, but I've been following you for a long time. I just don't call there. I've never called before, so.
Well, thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
I even bought your book, so I'm one of them that's actually bought it and read it.
Thank you so much.
So I heard you.
All right.
Listened to your one last night where you I understand your betting thing isn't what you want to do, and I'm not even. I don't sports bet. I didn't start following this for sports betting. I follow it because it's good to see where evil comes from.
Right. I agree. That's the right reason.
Anyhow.
All right, man.
What you do.
Thank you so much. You have a good one. All right, take care. Okay. Oh, we got another call. Caller?
That.
Yeah.
That's better today. That's better days in hockey. Arizona Coyotes over the Bruins. Check out the overall record, 21 and 51, I believe. They win. They're 22 and 51. Boston 22. Boston Bruins 51. Boston's got an overall 14-game winning streak against the Coyotes as well.
I'll plug all that in the notes. Those are great observations.
And there's one more, even better. Arizona's got an 8-game home losing streak against the Bruins.
Oh, nice. Perfect. So, yeah, I like that. They can get their first points of the year, 2 points against the 22 City, too. All right. Great one.
Just add on to your notes, which was already convincing.
Yeah, I'll go plug it in. Those are all great observations. So, Coyotes would be a nice upset.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, if you want to double check me, go ahead, but I'm almost certain here.
I'll do it right after the Monday night here. All right. Thanks.
Okay, cool.
That's it.
You got it.
Okay, so this Monday night game, remember the Browns when they beat New York the other week? Baker Mayfield became 7-8 as a starter, and New York 78 and Cleveland 78. So how interesting that they're on Monday night again, and you can get another 78 ritual. If the 49ers win, they'll be 7-8 versus the Browns. Cleveland 78, San Francisco. I don't know why I have that equal in there. San Francisco 49ers equals 78. So saw that pattern once. The The Browns could get their 20th win all time, possible. I just noticed something else that I could plug in here that's kind of more abstract. If the Browns lost, they'd be 18-10 versus the 49ers, kind of like 1-8, 1-0. The 181 in there kind of reminds me of the 42nd prime. I wouldn't put too much weight on that. I'd look more right here at the 78 thing. And hold on here. Caller?
Oh, hi there, Zach. Are you live streaming?
I am.
I'm so sorry. Can you call me back when you're done?
Sure. Okay. All right. Take care. Bye. Okay. Odell Beckham has a nice birthday alignment with San Francisco. I wonder if he has a nice game. But Mayfield, you can make an argument for him either way to win or lose. The stadium is Levi's Stadium, 46. If he lost, he'd be 4-6 away at Levi's Stadium. If he won, he'd be 5-5. 49ers is 55. Again, if Jimmy G wins, he's going to be 12-2. And San Francisco's 122. The city San Francisco's on the 122nd meridian. Where they play in Santa Clara is just a hair off the 122nd meridian, but still San Francisco on 122, big numbers. Shanahan is 13-22. If he lost, he'd get his 23rd loss. Cleveland Browns is 83, the 23rd prime. But this was a stat that jumped out at me. San Francisco is 0-14 in their last 14 games played in October. We know how often streaks end at 14. The narrative for them to lose 15 straight would be that MNF, like SNF, they're both 15. And I guess I could throw in here that Ohio's 47, the 15th prime, but I'd still favor the streak ending at 14. More often than not, streaks end at 14. And but not always. Not always. Just like how the Twins today, they were on a 14-game postseason losing streak, and unless they bring a monster comeback, they're going to lose 15 straight. But today was a fitting day to do it 10-5. And again, Yankees going for their 105th win on 10/5, like how they got their 104th win on 10/4. So Streaks don't always end at 14, but they often do. Keep in mind, football equals 43, the 14th prime. So we've been eyeballing Jimmy G getting to 12-2. I think out of all the possible scenarios here, I think that 78 is the best one. We already saw it with Cleveland once on Monday Night Football, so why not again? San Francisco 49ers 78, Cleveland 78. What was the Browns' next game again? Cleveland Browns getting to 3-3 would be fitting because, of course, Cleveland's 33. I think they got a bye week after this game. Oh, no. They got the Seahawks next. Seahawks got that 33 connection, too. Seahawks are tricky because they're named because of the S's and the K's. Seahawks, because of the rules of numerology, equals 24 in the most pure cipher. If you use the rule for both S's, it's 42. If you don't use the rule for the S's and just use the master numerology of K, it's 33. Remember, the Seahawks were the first ever team to win the Super Bowl on the 33rd day of the year. Super Bowl 48. And if you use the rule for the S's and the K's, Seahawks is also 51. So if Browns split their next two, they'll be 3-3. And if they lost this one and won in Cleveland, and I'd say this is probably the more winnable game at this point, just because it's at home. And Seahawks, they looked good on Thursday Night Football, their offense, but their offense has been hit and miss. So Browns have a pretty tough defense this year. But anyway, if Cleveland splits the next two, they will be 3-3, and Cleveland's 33. So I'm leaning 49ers right now. I'm going to try to turn over a few more stones between now and Monday night. I like how Beckham's birthday lines up with San Francisco, though. I'm thinking he has a good game because of that. So I got to go with Jimmy G getting to 12-2. The devil's advocate narrative for Jimmy G is to fall to 5-1 at home because Cleveland's 51. But so, again, there's a lot of sports starting right now. You don't have to go crazy on football. There's going to be plenty of good sports riddles. We're going to have hockey to scan through each day, basketball to scan through, baseball playoffs. So, football, a lot of tight games this weekend. That Packers-Cowboys game, I definitely stay away from it if the money stays heavy on the Packers. It still wouldn't make me go for the Cowboys because sometimes Vegas does pay out. I mean, people would catch on if the public never won anything. There's still a lot here for Rodgers, but I do think when you hear the announcer saying the script is totally flipped, I think they're typically saying that to piss off the gamblers when the money's heavy on the public. So a lot of potential upsets this week. Again, I wouldn't go big on the Broncos, but with some of the picks that look good this week, I'd think about doing those small parlays. You just bet a few bucks. There's bets where you put them together. 4 teams, $5 on it. If you have 3 strong picks and you throw the Broncos in there and the Broncos hit, a $5 bet can turn upwards of $100. So, for my man in Atlanta, I'm definitely cheering for the Eagles this week, but I might do one of those small parlays with the Jets just in case, because it's possible that if the Eagles lost, they'd be 10-1, or they'd be 10-1 against the Jets, and Philadelphia's 101. I mean, that's a number that shows up a lot with Philly. I'm having trouble imagining that, though. Eagles look pretty formidable, and so far the Jets don't. So what would be interesting is if the Jets beat the Patriots to get their first win of the season in the upcoming game. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we'll look at that when it comes. Again, Jets got that double 54 connection. They got the most 54 connections in the AFC. The line for this game I feel like the Saints should be more of a favorite, but I guess after the Bucks just beat the Rams good on the road, that's why the line is what it is. Again, I really like the way the 19s line up in this game. Big number with the Saints, and they go against the Bucks in two ways on the 19-8 numerology. I think the Raiders are going to get it done because the head-to-head record and the QB and the coach, it's all in sync if the Raiders take the Bears. The Bills and Titans, I'd wait to see who's starting in this game. There's not a lot to go off of, but I just like the Titans. If they win this one, they go into Denver with a 3-2 record. Denver and Broncos both 32. NFL 32. God, now that I know that Dalton's lost 7 straight starts, which we verified is true. Yeah, I'd be careful with this game, man. The guy who's charging $1,000 a month for his Patreon, who guaranteed the Bengals would win the Super Bowl, I don't think his business model is so successful right now. I haven't heard him call in for a few weeks, but anyway. Yeah, it's a hairy week in the NFL, so tread with caution. This is the any given Sunday week, but just seeing if there's even 3 games I'm crazy about. Ravens, Steelers, man. I don't see how the Patriots 5-0 thing doesn't happen. That's not going to be a great payout of a game, but... And the Jaguars and Panthers was a game that looked good. Made sense on both sides with the coaches. Both coaches would pick up the perfect stats if Carolina took this game. Falcons and Texans, man. I thought the Texans were a winner until further analysis on Matt Ryan's stats. Matt Ryan wins his next 2 games. He'll have a perfect record against his next opponent. But still, gotten in trouble looking too far down the road. So, yeah, be very careful this weekend. Again, don't get greedy. Be patient. Going to be plenty of more NFL weekends. You know, just wait. The weekends will come. The weekends will come where there's like 10 strong reads, 11 strong reads. That's the weekends where you'll make your money. So, you know, last week was pretty good. The primetime games I sucked on last week, but the rest of the week was pretty good. So, pick your punches, you know. And let me, before we go, let me go check out that that hockey game he was just talking about. I was already leaning Coyotes, but he did some deeper analysis. And he saw some things. Let me see. So Boston Bruins. It is true they can get their 22nd win tonight, and if they do, they'd get their 2 points of the year, their first 2 points. They have 51 combined losses. So they have 50. Hockey, you got to learn to read the stats because it's a little bit wonky. So 21 wins, 50 losses, plus 1 overtime loss. So they have 51 combined losses. Boston Bruins is 51 and Boston's 22. But hold on. I want to know where he got the streaks at, because that's the one thing that's missing on the hockey reference site. It doesn't have the tab that you click on where it shows. Yeah, I should have. So I'm not. That's because I don't know how to find the streaks in hockey. That's one thing that's missing. He said that the Coyotes have lost 14 straight to the Bruins and 8 straight at home. 19's the 8th prime. The word end equals 14. Again, so many sports streaks end at 14. Let me see if somebody recommended this site. Maybe this site has the streaks. These are... What time does this game start? How much time do I have to figure this out? 6 p.m. I got an hour. Okay, I should open. Bruins, Coyotes preview. It must say something about the 14 straight losses. Really? Okay. Team trends. Well, I'm not sure where he got that stat from. Because as far as I know, Hockey Reference doesn't track the game to game, it just tracks the totals. But if it is true, it would make me like the Coyotes a whole lot. Ah, here we go. This has it. All right, the Bruins will try to extend the longest current winning streak, 14 against an opponent in NHL. They haven't lost to the Coyotes since October 9th, 2010. Let's see how long ago that was. $469 weeks. I'm not sure if that's prime. No. All right. All right, so it is a 14-game streak. If all you did for the rest of your betting life was bet on streaks, like if a game's at 13 going for the 14th, if you bet that, make it to 14, or if like a streak was on 14 and you bet for it to end on 14, you'd win a whole lot more than you lose. Again, it doesn't always end at 14, and you got to think about things too. It's just like, you know, like today, even though the Twins could end their postseason losing streak at 14, it's like, yeah, but the Yankees today have a nice little 2 because they can get that 105th win on 10/5. And then like we were talking about yesterday, if the Yankees won yesterday, they'd be in prime position to sweep the series because they could get to 16-2, big baseball numbers. So, I mean, if you use your intuition, in addition to what you know about streaks in 14, you'll probably do very well. Let's see. I wanted to see the thing about 8 straight at home. Coyotes versus Bruins game history. Let me see if I can pull anything else up. I don't know if MCube has the actual game log. Maybe it does. Oh, here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, MCubed has it. It doesn't show who's home and away, though. Oh, yeah, I see. I just have to figure out whose perspective is this from. One, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's true. They've lost 8 at home and 14 straight. Let me plug this in here in the notes. Coyotes have lost 14 straight games to Bruins. End equals 14. Coyotes have lost 8 straight at home to Bruins. 19, 8th prime. So again, the streaks of 8 have been great. This will be our first observation of 19 and 8 in hockey. It's been great in baseball so far. It's been great in football so far. And again, that's the one thing that if you're debating on that Broncos game, I mean, that's the one thing that's really nice there for the Broncos upset is that they've lost 8 straight. So many streaks have ended at 8. Not every single one, but more often than not, the streaks in 8. They've been ending there in 2019, the 8th prime. When they've gone beyond that, they've often gone to a number like 14. So, okay. Again, in the NHL, one of the games is already underway. There were some couple 87 games because today leaves 87 days left in the year. If the Hurricanes lose, if they lose in regulation, they'll pick up their 87th loss in regulation. The Coyotes equals 87. They're looking for their first win of the season. And we see that the streak thing would make a lot of sense if the Coyotes ended it tonight. And, oh, you know what else? I think Bruins equals 43, the 14th prime. Hold on. Yeah, Bruins is 43, the 14th prime. I got to remember my hockey gematria. It's been a few months since we talked any hockey. So there's another reason for the streak to end at 14 to the Bruins. And then the other 87 game today would be an upset. The Kings on the road at the Oilers. If the Kings win, they'll get their 87th win against the Oilers, and they'll stay on 87 regulation losses. And that means not losing in overtime. If you lose in overtime, it's a different category. It's an overtime loss. In hockey, you get 1 point for an overtime loss. You get 0 points for a regulation loss. You get 2 points for a win. So the Kings' next win against the Oilers will give them 213 points, 213. That's the LA area code. That's my only thought is like, do they have to wait to be in LA to get that? But maybe not. That could be a symbolic way to start the year. Pick it first game of the season, get the 213th points versus an opponent. So, Kings would be a nice little upset tonight. But yeah, be sure to run over these hockey notes. They're linked on the Patreon page. So, we can wrap it up there. If I have any great observations or epiphanies or somebody calls in with something awesome between now and game time, I'll be sure to post it on the Patreon. You know, right now it looks like there's about 4 or 5 games that are looking pretty decent for this NFL weekend. A lot of hairy games, some potential upsets that would pay a lot, but, you know, so. Leave it there. I imagine it's getting late for you East Coast people. Go out and enjoy your Saturday night. And I guess the word of the day is wonky. All right, you guys. Appreciate all of you. I'm not going to do any live streams on Sundays for a while, so no live stream tomorrow, but I will post notes. I'll post notes for all the games tomorrow. Baseball, all that. I'll do the same thing for hockey. So look for notes, but no live stream. All right. Till next time. Truth Seeker.